Chapter 650. All of you, shut up. Just as Shen Kuo was at a loss under everyone's questioning, Li Changsheng suddenly slammed the table and stood up. The table made of solid wood cracked by a finger's width, and a loud boom reverberated in the room. The messy room instantly fell into silence. Even Shen Kuo was shocked by Li Changsheng's actions. His eyes were filled with doubt as he did not understand what Li Changsheng was trying to do. Everyone was stunned as they stared at Li Zhongshan in astonishment. Before Gumangong left, he had already passed the authority to his adopted son, Shen Kuo. Naturally, all of you have to listen to his orders. This list of names is not for your opinions, but for you to carry out the orders. Therefore, all of you had better shut your mouths and carry out the orders obediently. Borrowing the momentum created by Li Changsheng's slamming of the table, for a moment, everyone's gazes were somewhat evasive. Shen Kuo looked at Li Changsheng in surprise. Gumangong had asked Li Changsheng to stay behind to help him. In fact, he did not look down on Li Changsheng. However, when he thought about his performance just now and looked at Li Changsheng, he could not help but feel a little ashamed. At the very least, Li Changsheng was able to react in time in the face of chaos. This was better than him. However, he was also very worried. Gumangong's subordinates were all old foxes. Just now, Li Changsheng had caught them off guard, which was why he had managed to intimidate them. Once they reacted, it would be useless. Indeed, after being stunned for a few seconds, Ma Fei laughed coldly. Who do you think you are? Even if you're the boss's guest, you have no right to speak. Lord Ma looked at Li Changsheng sinisterly. He was already very unhappy that Li Changsheng, an outsider, had come to attend such an internal gathering. Now, Li Changsheng actually dared to reprimand him. He was simply courting death. After Lord Ma's words, many people reacted and looked at Li Changsheng with unfriendly expressions. The atmosphere in the room suddenly froze, as if a storm was brewing. Pang Tai, who was sitting next to Li Changsheng, had a complicated look in his eyes. In fact, he was the first to have a grudge against Li Changsheng. However, after seeing Li Changsheng's performance when he went to ask for the goods, Pang Tai had some appreciation for Li Changsheng. However, he still couldn't help but shake his head. The last time he went to find trouble with Zhao Dahu, it was because Li Changsheng had Gumangong as his backer. 100 Zhao Dahus wouldn't be enough to trample him to death. But now, the situation was different. This was an internal matter of the Gu Corporation, and Li Changsheng was just an outsider. If he were to stand out now, he wouldn't know his place. Before Gumangong left, he came to find me and asked me to help Shen Kuo. Gumangong also said that if anyone dared to oppose him, it would mean that they had ulterior motives and could be dealt with as they pleased. At this point, Li Changsheng's eyes flashed with a cold light. Huh? Dispose of them at will? Why? Do you dare to kill me? Ma Fei slammed his palm on the table. However, he didn't have the same power as Li Changsheng. He sucked in a breath of cold air and felt pain in his palm. However, a bodyguard had already stood up behind him. These people who followed Gumangong had gone through a lot of bloodshed in Nanyang. Which one of them didn't have a few experts under them? Do you think I don't dare? Li Changsheng sneered. He suddenly grabbed the chair beside him and threw it out. Everyone only saw a blur in front of their eyes. They saw the bodyguard standing beside Ma Fei get hit by the chair. The chair instantly shattered into pieces, and the bodyguard was sent flying backward, crashing into the wall behind him. The entire room shook slightly. You dare to touch my people? Ma Fei didn't expect Li Changsheng to dare to make a move. Just as he was about to speak, he saw Li Changsheng casually grab a teacup from the table and throw it out. Whoosh! The teacup flew out like a sharp arrow and nailed itself to the wooden decoration behind it, making a buzzing sound. The next moment, drops of blood could be seen dripping down from Ma Fei's ears. When he turned around and saw the ceramic teacup that was deeply embedded into the wood, he subconsciously swallowed a mouthful of saliva. If the teacup had been slightly slanted, it would have hit his head. Ma Fei couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. His legs turned to jelly. Previously, he had heard that Li Changsheng could dodge bullets. However, hearing about it and witnessing it with his own eyes were two different things. Gumangong did say something like that. If any of you don't believe me, you can call your boss Gu to verify it. Just now, it was just a warning. If there's a next time, no matter how much power you have under you, I guarantee that I'll let you die easily. Li Chongqing's words were understated, but there was an unquestionable tone in his tone. This made everyone present feel fearful. In ancient times, a swordsman could kill a person in 10 steps and leave no trace behind for 1,000 miles. Within 3 steps, he could wipe out an entire nation. At this moment, Li Chongqing was like that. No matter how much power you had, if I wanted to kill you, no one could stop me or save you. Everyone present looked at Li Chongqing with fear in their eyes. They felt that he was a lunatic. However, no matter what they thought, in this room, no one dared to say a word. Just like that, the situation was suppressed. After a long silence, the smiling tiger with the surname Jean finally chuckled and said, "We're all family. Why are you so nervous? Since it's Boss Gu's intention, we as subordinates naturally have no objections. Isn't it just a transfer of personnel? When I go back, I'll let my subordinates report according to the names on the list. However, these are troubled times, and Boss Shun is still young. If all of our people are transferred away, it'll be like we're missing an arm or a leg. If anything happens, I'm afraid Boss Shun will have to bear it alone. We have the will, but we don't have the strength." The smiling tiger's words were clearly a threat. "All right, Boss Jean is still the sensible one. What about the rest of you?" Li Chongqing saw Shun Kuo frowning and knew that this guy might have some ability to catch Gu Mangong's eye. However, he was still too young. Thus, he did not place any hopes on him and spoke directly. "Of course, we'll listen to Boss Gu. However, just like Boss Jean, Nanyang is not peaceful. Since Boss Shun has taken away our power, I'm afraid you won't be able to handle it if something happens." Another person said coldly, "That's not something you should worry about." After Li Chongqing finished speaking, everyone present took their leave. They said that they would transfer their capable subordinates to Shun Kuo according to the names on the list. Even Ma Fei said the same thing. However, from his gaze, Li Chongqing could clearly see a threat, warning, and a trace of killing intent. This guy wants to attack me. However, these people handed over their power so easily. I'm afraid it's not that simple. As Li Chongqing was thinking, the phone in Shun Kuo's pocket rang. After Shun Kuo hung up the phone, his entire face had turned purple. It was extremely ugly. "What's wrong?" Li Chongqing's eyes were filled with doubt. However, Shun Kuo's eyes were filled with disappointment. "I just received news that because my foster father left Nanyang, a few local families took the opportunity to attack him. Many of his businesses suffered heavy losses. Gu Mangong has been in Nanyang for so many years. How could he be so easily shaken?" Li Chongqing furrowed his brows. Originally, it would not be easy for those families to work together. However, during the meeting, we wanted to weaken the power of a few founding members. Those founding members were angry and slacked off. In just a short while, they had already lost tens of millions. Just as they were about to weaken the power of a few founding members, this happened. Li Chongqing did not believe that it had nothing to do with those people. Now that the Gu organization was facing a huge crisis, they could only give up on the plan. If that happened, the plan would be considered a complete failure. My foster father gave me his businesses, and now, such a huge mess has happened. It seems like I'll have to apologize to Ma Fei and the rest." Hearing what Shun Kuo said, Li Chongqing shook his head. "No, if you give in this time, not only will the plan fail, but your reputation will also be greatly reduced. It'll be difficult for you to do anything in the future." Li Chongqing shook his head. "Is there no other way other than begging them? You don't understand." Shun Kuo said angrily, "It's the Lin family from Nanyang who's attacking us this time. The head of the Lin family, Lin Huang, is a terrifying person. He has a huge network in Nanyang. To put it bluntly, a third of the families in Nanyang will follow him. If the Gu organization works together, of course, we won't be afraid of him. However, if the founding members don't plan to help, the Gu organization will suffer heavy losses. Since Lin Huang is their core member and they rely on him to gather them, If Lin Huang suddenly dies, won't the crisis be solved? A smile appeared on Li Changxing's face. He did not know anything about business, but killing was much easier for him. What did you say? Shen Kuo was stunned. He then laughed out loud and said, Mr. Li, who do you think Lin Huang is? He has a lot of elites around him. If it's so easy to kill him, my foster father would have killed him long ago. Since even my foster father can't do anything to him, who do you think you are? Do you think you're so great just because you can dodge bullets? To be honest, Lin Huang have a lot of elites around him, and many of them know how to dodge bullets. Shen Kuo shook his head. His mind was in a mess, and he did not treat Li Changxing nicely. He thought that his foster father had given him an assistant who did not think before speaking. It was ridiculous that he thought he was invincible just because he knew some martial arts. Chapter 651. You don't seem to believe that I can kill the master of the Lin family. Li Changsheng raised his eyebrows at Shen Kuo's question. Shen Kuo was Gu Mangong's godson, but he did not like Lin Huang at all. Initially, Lin Huang did not want to fight with a kid, but Shen Kuo's attitude pissed him off. I just don't believe that you can kill Lin Huang. Do you know what kind of person he is? How dare you talk to him like that? Shen Kuo said coldly. Li Changsheng sometimes wondered if Shen Kuo had facial paralysis, as he always had the same expression on his face. Then, I'll kill him for you. He's just the master of the Lin family. Li Changxing stood up and said to Shen Kuo, Let's go. Help me find out where Lin Huang is now. I'll take his life. Shen Kuo was shocked when he saw that Li Changxing was really going to kill the master of the Lin family. He shook his head and said, Forget it. Stop fooling around. You're my godfather's man. If anything happens to you, I won't be able to answer to him. This kid still doesn't believe in himself. Li Changxing gritted his teeth and said with a grim expression, Your godfather asked me to take charge of Nanyang. You have to listen to me. If I ask you to find out Lin Huang's location, you have to do it. Are you going to disobey your godfather's orders? Li Changxing knew that this guy with facial paralysis was extraordinarily stubborn. Only by mentioning Gu Mangong would he be able to control him. Sure enough, as soon as he said this, Shen Kuo sighed, even though he was very reluctant. All right then, I'll tell you where the master of the Lin family is. He's hiding in the Lin family's mansion. All these years, the Lin family has been going against my godfather. He's afraid that my godfather would send someone to assassinate him. Normally, he wouldn't leave the mansion. There are many experts in the Lin family's mansion. All these years, my godfather couldn't do anything to him. So, are you happy now? If you think you're good at martial arts, why don't you go to the Lin family's mansion? I'm afraid that you'll be shot to death as soon as you step into the mansion. Shen Kuo's face lit up with delight as he spoke. In his opinion, Li Changsheng was a useless person, but he relied on his adoptive father's friend and used his adoptive father to suppress him. Don't you want the location of the Chun family's patriarch? I've already told you, but the Lin family is like a tiger's den. What can you do? When Li Changsheng saw the smug look in Shen Kuo's eyes, he didn't say anything. He just walked out of the room. Where are you going? You offended a few elders at the meeting today. Be careful. They'll teach you a lesson. However, Li Changsheng just waved his hand at Shen Kuo. Of course, it's to kill the head of the Lin family. The person who can deal with me, Li Changsheng, hasn't been born yet. Shen Kuo couldn't help but twitch his mouth. He had just said that the Lin family head was hiding in the Lin family's courtyard, but Li Changxing still said that he was going to kill the Lin family head. Shen Kuo naturally didn't believe him. This guy, how could the Lin family's patriarch be killed so easily? After Li Changsheng left, Shen Kuo let out a sigh of relief. Leaving Li Changsheng by his side was like having a mountain on his head. He couldn't wait for Li Changsheng to stay away from him. After leaving the tea house, Li Changsheng took a taxi and headed straight to the Lin family's mansion. Since he dared to go against Gu Mangong and was still safe and sound after so many years, it was reasonable that Gu Mangong was just an ordinary businessman who couldn't do anything to him. However, Gu Mangong was a cultivator. Moreover, he was a profound realm expert. In the entire world, he could enter the ranks of the top experts. If a cultivator wanted to kill an ordinary person, it would be as easy as pinching an ant. However, Gu Mangong couldn't do anything to him after so many years. It could only mean that there was someone in the Lin family who could fight Gu Mangong or something that could threaten Gu Mangong. Li Changsheng dialed Gu Mangong's number. It was noisy on the other end of the phone, and there was the sound of the wind. It was obvious that Gu Mangong was outside. "Mr. Li, I'm here. I'll be able to see the genius disciple soon. The signal here isn't good," Gu Mangong reported. He had always done his best for Li Changsheng. "Not bad." Li Changsheng nodded and said, "Is the Lin family a cultivator family? Otherwise, how could they fight against you for so many years?" "No." Gu Mangong shook his head and said, "The Lin family is just an ordinary business family, but Lin Huang's grandfather once saved a cultivator. That cultivator later became a consecrator of the Lin family. That cultivator was a profound realm expert, and his strength was no weaker than mine. I once thought of directly killing Lin Huang and destroying the Lin family, but I met that old man, and in the end we tied. Understand? Are you preparing to?" Gu Mangong sounded excited on the other end of the phone. He actually wanted Li Changsheng to help him get rid of his biggest threat, but he didn't dare to ask. Now that Li Changsheng wanted to go to the Lin family, how could he not be happy? It was just the Lin family. Li Changsheng could deal with them easily. The taxi stopped in front of the Lin family's mansion. There were tall walls, and there were two majestic stone lions at the entrance. The bronze-colored door was very imposing. Li Changsheng knocked on the door. Soon, footsteps could be heard. The door opened, and a young man walked out. He frowned and said, "Who are you? Why did you knock on the door?" "I want to see Lin Huang." Li Changsheng told him his purpose of visit. Even if other people wanted to assassinate someone, they would do it secretly. It would be like Li Changsheng, who would openly knock on the door and enter through the front door. Therefore, the young man who opened the door did not expect Li Changsheng to be there to kill. Instead, when Li Changsheng said, "Lin Huang," he looked respectful and spoke politely. Indeed, there were not many people who dared to call Lin Huang by his name in Nanyang. If the person was a friend of the Lin family's master, he would be in trouble. "May I know who you are?" The young man looked suspicious. Li Changsheng came alone, and he didn't seem to be a high-ranking person. Moreover, he had been a gatekeeper for the Lin family for 6 years, and he knew all the regular friends of the Lin family. In his memory, there was no such person as Li Changsheng. "Tell Lin Huang that he's here to welcome me personally." "What?" The young man could not help but frown. Lin Huang was someone who could fight with Gu Mangong in Nanyang and had a high status. However, the young man asked him to welcome him personally. Although the young man was confused, he did not dare to delay. "Yes, sir. Please wait for a moment. I'll go in and report." Then, he signaled his 2 colleagues who were standing not far away to wait on Li Changsheng. At the same time, he wanted them to keep an eye on Li Changsheng. He then walked in quickly. Chapter 652. Mr. Lin, our boss Ma said that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Gu Mangong is not in Nanyang, and his adopted son actually wants to weaken the authority of the elders at this time. Even those who are loyal to Gu Mangong have resentment in their hearts. This time, if we work together, we will definitely be able to take over Gu Mangong's foundation. In the Lin family's guest hall, a middle-aged man sat on the sofa. If Li Changsheng saw this person, he would recognize that this was the bodyguard who was next to Ma Fei and was hit by Li Changsheng with a chair. His face was pale, and it was obvious that he was injured. However, there was a strange light deep in his eyes. Since Ma Fei had colluded with Lin Huang, he would be the hero if they succeeded in the future. He would no longer have to be a slave and could be the master of his own family. Compared to that, the injury that he suffered was nothing. Opposite the middle-aged man was an old man with white hair. He was in his 50s and wore loose white clothes that seemed to be made of silk. He had a string of prayer beads around his neck and a pair of walnuts in his hands. It was the master of the Lin family, Lin Huang. Gu Mangong is cunning. He suddenly left Nanyang and gave his godson, Shun, the power of the elders. Could there be a trap? Lin Huang frowned. He had been fighting with Gu Mangong for many years. He had witnessed Gu Mangong's rise in Nanyang with his own eyes. He was very afraid of Gu Mangong. If not for the high priest in the family, he would not have dared to go against Gu Mangong. Don't worry, Mr. Lin. The reason why Gu Mangong left Nanyang was to let his adopted son take over his business and weaken the influence of the elders under him. This was the same as burning the bridge after crossing the river. Gu Mangong pretended to hide and let his adopted son do these things just to fulfill his hypocritical reputation. However, he didn't know that he would ruin the empire he had built for himself. As the both of them were talking, a subordinate rushed in to report. Master, there's someone outside who wants to see you. He said that he wants you to welcome him personally. This time, Lin Huang was shocked. Did he say who he is? Indeed, the master of the Lin family dared to ask him to welcome him personally. Lin Huang thought hard, but could not figure out who it was. We might as well go out and take a look. Lin Huang stood up, and a servant immediately went to get his coat. Mr. Lin, I think it's better to be cautious. What if it's an enemy? You're a precious person. You can't take the risk. One of them hurriedly advised. It's fine. As long as Gu Mangong isn't in Nanyang, I have nothing to be afraid of. Didn't they say that it was a young man? It's definitely not Gu Mangong. Don't worry. The middle-aged man nodded when he heard what Lin Huang said. All these years, Gu Mangong and Lin Huang have been fighting both openly and secretly. Both of them wanted to get rid of the other, but they could not do anything to each other. Lin Huang's confidence was not baseless. At the entrance of the mansion, Li Changsheng was chatting enthusiastically with the two gatekeepers. When a gatekeeper heard the words of the young man who had opened the door, he was afraid that he would neglect Li Changsheng, so he waited at the side. However, they didn't expect Li Changsheng to be such a talkative person. He rambled on and was very familiar with the lives of people at the bottom of society. A few heartfelt words from him made the two of them completely let down their guard. You're saying that the old man who follows your master is not in the Lin family's mansion? Li Changsheng was surprised. Yes, I saw President Lin's driver send the old man out of the Lin family's mansion a few days ago. Since he left, the old man has not shown himself. We open the door every day, but we didn't see him come back. I see. Li Changsheng looked slightly disappointed. He heard that there was an expert in the Lin family. Initially, he wanted to help Gu Mangong get rid of the threat. However, he could not believe everything the gatekeeper said. It was too easy for an expert who could fight Gu Mangong to not be discovered by the two gatekeepers. Right at this moment, a series of footsteps came from inside. A group of people walked out in a grandiose manner. Who's here to see me? Lin Huang walked in front. When he saw Li Changsheng standing there, he was shocked. He was sure that he had never seen this person before. However, the moment the bodyguard saw Li Changsheng, he walked towards Lin Huang and said softly, Mr. Lin, he's the young man that Gu Mangong left behind to help Shen Kuo. He's a martial arts expert. The middle-aged man recalled the scene where Li Changsheng had hit him with a chair. He could not help but feel terrified. You're really here to deal with me. How dare you come here so casually? You're looking down on the Lin family. Lin Huang's eyes turned cold. However, he did not rush to attack. Instead, he signaled his men and walked towards Li Changsheng. He was not afraid that Li Changsheng would attack him. I heard that you're Gu Mangong's friend. Why are you looking for me? Lin Huang stood not far away from Li Changsheng with a playful look in his eyes. As for the two guards who were chatting happily with Li Changsheng, their faces turned pale. They felt their legs go soft and almost fell to their knees with a plop. Gu Mangong and the others also knew that he was the enemy that their family head wanted to get rid of the most. Since the other party was Gu Mangong's friend, he was naturally an enemy as well. Just now, they had almost reached the point where they could talk about anything with Li Changsheng. They had also told Li Changsheng a lot of news about the Lin family, without hesitation. Now that they thought about it, if their family head knew about it, they would lose their lives. The two of them immediately distanced themselves from Li Changsheng. They hated Li Changsheng very much. I'm definitely not here to have tea with you. Li Changsheng smiled, revealing a mouth full of white teeth. Since I'm Gu Mangong's friend and you're Gu Mangong's enemy, I'm here to kill you. Lin Huang had already guessed that Li Changsheng was a kung fu master. However, He was still shocked when he heard Li Changsheng say that he wanted to kill him. Aren't you being too arrogant by coming here to kill me? Lin Huang laughed. You know that I'm here to kill you, but you still dare to come so close to me. You're courting death. Li Changsheng retorted. Huh, you're the one who's courting death. Lin Huang said calmly. While I'm talking to you, there are already 3 snipers aiming at your temples. 2 machine guns are locked onto your body. If you move, you'll turn into a hornet's nest. Young man, you're still too inexperienced to dare to come to my Lin family's house and cause trouble. Is that so? Li Changsheng laughed too. Didn't the Kung Fu master beside you tell you that there are enemies within 10 steps? Since I'm here to kill you, I'm not an ordinary person. Since you're so close to me, do you believe that I'll kill you before your men can pull the trigger? Huh. However, Lin Huang laughed again. Of course I know that. Moreover, since you're here to kill me, I'm afraid ordinary guns won't work on you. That's why I'm so close to you. Do you think I'm giving you a chance to kill me? No, I'm creating an opportunity so that you won't be able to escape. Lin Huang took a step forward, his clothes fluttering even though there was no wind. Because I'm also a Kung Fu master. A very, very Kung Fu master. Chapter 653. Lin Huang found it funny that someone dared to come to his house and say that he wanted to kill him. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. Gu Mangong had suppressed the Lin family for so many years. Nobody knew how long they had been holding back. Now that Gu Mangong was not in Nanyang, there was someone who dared to challenge the Lin family. His aura surged as he clenched his fists and locked his gaze on the reckless young man. Li Changsheng did not move. He just looked at Lin Huang quietly. There was no expression on his face as he looked straight into Lin Huang's eyes. This guy is really powerful. The master of the Lin family is so close to him. Isn't he in danger? Ma Fei's bodyguard said to Lin Huang's subordinate worriedly. My master is the last disciple of the old man. The master of the Black Monkey Nation, Vulture, came to visit the Lin family last time and fought with my master. In the end, he was defeated by my master. This young man will definitely die today. Hearing what Lin Huang's subordinate said, the bodyguard was shocked. The master of the Vulture sect was famous in Nanyang. I didn't expect the master of the Lin family to be so powerful. It seems like Li Changsheng is going to be in trouble today. While the middle-aged bodyguard was shocked, he looked at Li Changsheng with pity in his eyes. Sometimes confidence is not a good thing. Li Changsheng sighed and took a step forward slowly. The bodyguard and Lin Huang's subordinates who were far away widened their eyes. All of a sudden, Li Changsheng dashed towards Lin Huang and held Lin Huang's cheek with one hand. Then, he dashed toward a big tree by the road. Bang! A loud thud was heard. Lin Huang's head was embedded in the ancient tree. With a loud crack, the ancient tree that was as thick as 2 people's palms broke and fell to the ground. Li Changsheng looked at Lin Huang, who was no longer alive, and clapped his hands. He turned around and said to Lin Huang's subordinate, If you want to avenge Lin Huang, remember to ask his master to look for me when he comes back so that I can avenge his disciple. However, Lin Huang's underling, who had extraordinary abilities, could not help but feel thirsty. Although he was Lin Huang's bodyguard in name, he knew that his master's kung fu was much more powerful than his. Now his head was almost flattened by Li Changsheng. Perhaps only Lin Huang's master could do such a terrifying thing. Brat, you killed our patriarch. Do you think you can walk out of here alive today? Thinking of the few snipers who were hiding at the highest point, Lin Huang's men finally had some confidence. Shoot this criminal to death. Lin Huang's men shouted at the highest point in the courtyard. Sure enough, as soon as he finished speaking, a few gunshots were heard. Bang bang, bang bang. Several bullets were fired at Li Changsheng from all directions. But in the next moment, Li Changsheng's figure disappeared from the courtyard. When they looked up, they saw Li Changsheng standing on top of a high wall not far away. When the few snipers aimed at Li Changsheng and pulled the trigger, Li Changsheng was like a big bird, disappearing from their sight after a few leaps. Shen Kui sat in the general manager's office in the Gu organization, frowning. He was very annoyed. In his heart, his godfather had always been a scheming person. However, He could not see through the plan this time. Even if his godfather wanted him to take over the company, there was no need for him to be in such a hurry. He could have slowly transferred the power to him. However, his godfather had forced the few elders under him to take over the company. He had no idea what his godfather was thinking, except for Li Changsheng. Thinking of Li Changsheng, Shen Kuo looked at the direction of the door. I have no idea where Li Changsheng went. I can't even see his shadow. Did he really go to assassinate Lin Huang? Isn't that the same as seeking death? Sigh. Shen Kuo rubbed his temples. At this moment, footsteps were heard from outside, and the office door was opened. Li Changsheng was back. Shen Kuo was delighted. After all, Li Changsheng was his godfather's friend. If he died at the Lin residence, he would not be able to explain it to his godfather. However, he was not going to be nice to Li Changsheng. He sneered, "What happened? Didn't you go to assassinate the head of the Lin family? Why are you back so soon? Don't tell me that you've killed him." There was a hint of playfulness in Shen Kuo's words. "Yes, he's dead." Huh. Shen Kuo shook his head. Just when he was about to mock Lin Huang, the phone on the table rang. "Mr. Shen, I've just received news that the head of the Lin family has been killed at the entrance of the Lin residence. The killer is a young man in his 20s. The phone in Shen Kuo's hand fell on the table with a thud. He raised his head and stared at Li Changsheng in disbelief. "You really killed him?" "Yes. Didn't you say that killing him would solve the problem? I've already solved the problem for you." This, Shen Kuo pointed at Li Changsheng with a trembling finger. In the end, he slapped the table and said, "It's all over. It's over. What's wrong? You've solved the problem. Why do you look like your parents are dead?" This time, Li Changsheng was very puzzled. According to what I found out, Lin Huang has a master who is very powerful. His master is the main reason why the Lin family could rise in Nanyang. Even my godfather, who is so good at martial arts, could only fight to a draw with Lin Huang's master. Now that my godfather is not here, if his master finds out that Lin Huang has been killed, he will definitely take revenge. Who can stop Lin Huang's master now that my godfather is not in Nanyang? No, I have to call my godfather and ask him to come back as soon as possible. Shen Kuo dialed a series of numbers. However, the phone could not be connected. He called 3 times in a row, but the result was the same. Shen Kuo was desperate. What should I do? I can't get through to my godfather's phone. If Lin Huang's master comes to seek revenge, no matter how many bodyguards we have, it will be useless. Seeing how anxious Shen Kuo was, Li Changsheng comforted him. "Don't worry. Even if your godfather is not here, you still have me." "You? What can you do? Do you know how powerful Lin Huang's master is? Even a rocket launcher can't hit him. He can walk on buildings as if they were flat ground." One of the Lin family's enemies once ambushed him with dozens of guns and rocket launchers. In the end, he did not even hurt him. Instead, he killed the leader of the organization on the spot. Chapter 654. The head of the Lin family, Lin Huang, was dead. He was killed in front of his own house in front of everyone. When the news spread, the entire Lin family was like an ancient beast that was awakened from its slumber. It bared its sharp fangs and attacked the Gu organization crazily. In the general manager's office, Shen Kuo's phone kept ringing. It was as if he could hear the horn and the galloping of horses. In the short span of an hour, the various branches of the Gu group had suffered heavy losses. The Lin family had completely gone crazy. They were willing to sacrifice 800 of their own to destroy the Gu group. They didn't even care if they had to sacrifice 1,200 of their own to kill 1,000 of their enemies. Shen Kuo's forehead was already covered with fine beads of sweat, and he felt as if he was about to collapse. Li Changsheng saw everything, but he couldn't help but shake his head. Shen Kuo was too young and could not keep his cool. The Lin family's counterattack has just begun. This is just the surface attack. I'm afraid that Lin Huang's master is going to attack as well. But I can't get through to my godfather's phone. What should I do? Shen Kuo was at a loss. He was panicking. Li Changsheng, I admire you for being able to kill Lin Huang. But things are about to change. Shen Kuo frowned. He could not hit or scold Li Changsheng. Don't worry. Since your godfather has asked me to stay, you don't have to worry. Li Changsheng sat on the sofa, picked up the teacup, and took a sip. His tone was very calm, as if he didn't care about the legendary master of the Lin family in Nanyang at all. The world was big, and there were many powerful people. However, in front of Li Changsheng, other than the legendary Earth Immortals, no one was worthy of Li Changsheng's attention. This wasn't Li Changsheng being arrogant, but rather the indestructible god-devil body that he had cultivated for 99 lifetimes was simply too powerful. It was so powerful that even if he were to fight across realms, he could still easily crush his enemies. Mr. Li, if Godfather were in Nanyang, it wouldn't matter if he killed Lin Huang. Although the Lin family is powerful, they can't compare to our Gu organization. However, Godfather isn't here now, and the elders are divided. Once the Lin family's high priest makes a move, I'm afraid the foundation that Godfather has built for so many years will be destroyed overnight. No matter how much Shun Qua disliked Li Changsheng, it seemed that the only person he could rely on was Li Changsheng. However, was Li Changsheng reliable? Don't worry. Even if you don't trust me, don't you trust your adoptive father? Li Changsheng continued to drink his tea. Shun Qua didn't know what to say. His handsome face was filled with melancholy, and he seemed to have aged a lot. At this moment, the sound of footsteps came from outside the door. Mr. Shun, did you send someone to kill Lin Huang? It was Pang Tai, one of Gu Manggong's 4 subordinates, who walked in. Pang Tai had witnessed Li Changsheng's ability to dodge bullets. However, he was still shocked to hear that Lin Huang had been killed. When he walked in and saw Li Changsheng sitting there, he could not help but feel fearful. The head of the Lin family was dead, just like that. For someone like Li Changsheng, he could kill a person within 10 steps. He was the most dangerous person in the world. Sai, you can say that I sent him. Shun Qua nodded his head. At this moment, it did not matter if he was the one who sent Li Changsheng to kill Lin Huang. What was important was that Lin Huang was dead, and he had to face the Lin family's crazy revenge. Soon after Pang Tai walked in, Gong Zuhong, Ma Fei, and the rest appeared. Naturally, they couldn't remain indifferent to such a big matter, especially Ma Fei, who was known as Lord Ma. The moment he saw Li Changsheng, his eyes were filled with fear. He was different from the rest. His bodyguard had seen Li Changsheng kill Lin Huang with his own eyes. Moreover, his bodyguard had appeared next to Lin Huang, which meant that he had betrayed the Gu organization and colluded with the enemy. However, the reason why he dared to appear here and act as if nothing had happened was that as one of Gu Manggong's 4 subordinates, he had a lot of power in the Gu organization. Now that the Lin family was going crazy, if Shun Qua were to settle the score with him now, the Gu organization would undoubtedly be in a greater crisis. Li Changsheng dared to kill the head of the Lin family, Lin Huang. He has completely angered the Lin family. The Lin family's master will not let him go. Gu Manggong sent his godson to take away our power. Now, in order to deal with the Lin family, he has to return the power to us. This chaos might be the biggest opportunity. Ma Fei, Gong Zuhong, and the rest thought to themselves. They had a lot of power in their hands. If not for Gu Manggong, they would have left the organization long ago. Now that the Lin organization was going crazy, they did not want to fight the enemy together. Instead, they wanted to seize the opportunity to break away from the Gu organization's control and become independent. Gu Manggong was not in Southeast Asia. Once the situation was formed, no matter how powerful Gu Manggong was, he would not be able to do anything when he returned. After all, the reason why Gu Manggong was able to conquer so much was because of the help of the elders. The only thing that they were afraid of was Gu Manggong's ability in martial arts. However, it did not matter, as the Lin family had a master who could control Gu Manggong. When the time came, as long as they managed the relationship between Gu Manggong and the Lin family, both the Lin family and Gu Manggong would have to rope them in. These people had been scheming for most of their lives. They knew that this was the best opportunity. It's all thanks to this Li guy who killed Lin Huang that the situation today is like this. Gu Manggong has shot himself in the foot this time. Ma Fei and the rest looked at Li Changsheng coldly. From their point of view, Li Changxing's fate was death. The master from the Lin family would definitely come for revenge. From beginning to end, Li Changxing sat there without showing any emotion on his face. He drank his tea as if this matter had nothing to do with him. Mr. Shun, what do you think we should do next? The Lin family is madly attacking our Gu group. We also want to resist, but our capable generals have all been transferred away according to your orders. We are also like housewives who can't cook without rice. The new subordinates have not been appointed yet. Even if they are appointed, they are not familiar with the company. It's taboo to change subordinates at the last minute. Elder Jin's fat cheeks trembled as he spoke, making Li Changsheng think of a hamster with a mouth full of food. His eyes were especially round and small, but they shone with a crafty light. These people were here for power. At the same time, they wanted to see Shen Kuo make a fool of himself. We asked you to take away our power. Now, not only did you not take away our power, you might even give us more power. The transfer list is temporarily invalid. We still have to rely on the elders to work together to get through this. Shen Kuo sighed. He knew that the situation was beyond his control. If he still insisted on transferring the capable subordinates of the elders, the Gu organization might really collapse. I don't agree. At this moment, Li Changxing suddenly spoke. Even if you return the power to them, I'm afraid they might not help you to fight the Lin family. Instead, some of them will betray us and stab us in the back. Chapter 655. Brat, if you didn't kill Lin Huang, the Lin family wouldn't be so crazy. Who do you think you are? You don't have the right to speak here. Ma Fei said coldly. He had sent his bodyguard to meet the master of the Lin family, but he had bumped into Li Changsheng. Therefore, he hoped that Li Changsheng would be killed by the master of the Lin family. Otherwise, he would be in deep trouble if Gu Mangong came back. The other elders also looked at Li Changsheng playfully. From their point of view, regardless of whether Li Changsheng was an expert or a friend of Gu Mangong's, Gu Mangong was not in Nanyang this time. Under the overall situation, he would definitely die. It's not up to you to decide if I have the right to speak or not. You're the one who betrayed us and colluded with the master of the Lin family. Now, I'll help Gu Mangong get rid of him. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Changsheng raised his eyebrows and stood up. He did not hide his killing intent towards Ma Fei. Li Changsheng, what are you doing? Do you know that this is a special time? If you kill me, who will fight against the Lin family? Ma Fei was panicking. He regretted provoking Li Changsheng. After all, he was the man who dared to kill the master of the Lin family. If they were to disregard everything to kill him, no one would be able to stop them. Yes, Mr. Li, don't be rash. Even Shen Kuo stood up immediately. No matter if Ma Fei was betraying them or harboring evil intentions, the Gu organization was in an unprecedented situation. Shen Kuo could not lose the support of Ma Fei's organization. Just when the atmosphere in the room was tense, there was a noise outside, followed by the sound of dense footsteps. Everyone raised their heads and looked in the direction of the door, only to see the office door explode into pieces with a loud bang. The few elders who were closer to the door were so frightened that they fell to the ground. As the dust settled, an old man led a group of people to the door of the office. Are you the master of the Lin family? Many people in the office recognized the old man, and their faces turned pale. Speaking of the devil, he didn't expect the Lin family's helper to arrive so quickly. Next to the old man was a middle-aged man in his 40s. He looked very similar to Lin Huang, who was killed by Li Changsheng. He was Lin Huang's younger brother, Lin Wan. Now that Lin Huang was dead, he was temporarily in charge of the Lin family. Behind him was a group of senior members of the Lin family. Although the appearance of the Lin family's consecrator was rather shocking, causing everyone in the office to be a little shocked, they quickly regained their senses. Shen Kuo, in particular, said coldly, "What is the meaning of this? How dare you behave so atrociously in my Gu group's office? Do you want to start a war with my Gu group?" Shen Kuo's words were careless and awe-inspiring, but the others couldn't help shaking their heads. The Lin family and the Gu Corporation were already at war. Of course we're here for revenge. Lin Wen stepped forward. My brother Lin Huang was killed in front of the Lin family's mansion. The Gu organization is really something. That consecrator of the Lin family did not waste any more words. He just took a step forward, and a powerful aura enveloped the hearts of everyone present, causing them to have a kind of palpitating feeling. The consecrator of the Lin family was really powerful. I didn't expect the big shots of the Gu Corporation to be here. If I kill all of you, the Gu Corporation will be destroyed. The Lin family's helper said in an eerie voice. It sounded like the sound of iron rubbing against each other. As soon as he said that, everyone's face turned pale. Indeed, if the Lin family were to wipe out the Gu Corporation would fall apart in an instant. Ma Fei panicked when he heard that. Elder Lin, you're wrong. The one who killed the head of the Lin clan was Li Changsheng. It has nothing to do with us. Don't forget, our boss Gu is also an expert. He's not any weaker than you. If you start a massacre at the Gu group today, then when our boss Gu returns, he'll do the same to your Gu clan. When that time comes, do you think you can protect yourself? The reason why Lin Huang was not killed in the past was because Gu Mangong and the Lin family's consecrator had fought a few times. They had a tacit understanding that if one of them did not attack, the other would not attack. Otherwise, if they were to assassinate the higher-ups, who would be able to defend against experts like Gu Mangong and the Lin family's consecrator? One could only be a thief for 1,000 days. There was no such thing as guarding against a thief for 1,000 days. So, my disciple died for nothing? The Lin family's helper understood that. However, Lin Huang was his disciple. How could he let it go just like that? The one who killed your disciple is Li Changsheng. Just look for him. As for the grudge between the Gu and the Lin family, we'll settle it through business. At this point, Ma Fei couldn't help but glance at Li Changsheng, betraying him in the blink of an eye. As expected, in the next moment, a terrifying aura locked onto Li Changsheng. All right, I'll only kill the killer today. I don't care about the rest. Ma Fei and the rest were not the only ones who were relieved. Even the current master of the Lin family, Lin Wan, was relieved. If this consecrator really went on a killing spree, then he would be in danger. Gu Mangong would definitely use all his means to kill the upper echelons of the Lin family. There were rules everywhere, and seeking revenge on Li Changsheng was not breaking the rules. At this time, Shen Kuo was a little anxious. Letting Li Changsheng take the blame to appease the Lin family's master's anger, and then the Lin family and the Gu's group could be settled through commercial means was undoubtedly a good choice. However, the only one who would be cheated was Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng was the person that Gu Mangong left behind for Shen Kuo. If he were to die in the hands of the Lin family's helper, Shen Kuo did not know how to explain it to his godfather. However, he had no other choice. Li Changsheng seemed to have expected what he would do. He gave him a reassuring look and walked towards the Lin family's helper. To be able to contend against Gu Mangong, you should be at the profound realm, right? It's a pity that you're just a pile of old bones with your qi and blood dried up. It's also because Gu Mangong is too young that he couldn't see through you. Although your strength is comparable to Gu Mangong's, Gu Mangong is in his prime, and his qi and blood are vigorous. If he were to fight with you to the death, he might be heavily injured, but the one who would die would definitely be you. Li Changsheng shook his head. Only someone like him who had lived for tens of thousands of years had the right to say that Gu Mangong was young. However, the moment he said that, the Lin family's helper's expression changed. He was well aware of his own body's condition. All these years, he had been in charge of the Lin family and had never taken the initiative to attack Gu Mangong because he did not have the guts to fight to the death with Gu Mangong. However, now that Li Changsheng had pointed out the condition of his body, how could he not be shocked? Chapter 656. No wonder you dare to kill my disciple. You're an expert. The murderous intent in the Lin family's guardians' eyes intensified. The Lin family had been suppressed by Gu Mangong when they were fighting. Now that there was an expert like Li Changsheng, the Lin family would be completely overtaken by Gu Mangong one day. Kid, who are you? Who told you about my body condition? To the Lin family's guardian, although Li Changsheng was powerful, he was still too young to be able to kill Lin Huang. What he was afraid of was the power behind Li Changsheng. I can tell your body condition at a glance. I don't need anyone to tell me. Li Changsheng shook his head. I was just about to look for you. Since you've delivered yourself to my doorstep, I'll send you and your disciple to reunite on the road to the underworld. As he spoke, he raised his hand and slapped the Lin family's guardian. Arrogant. The Lin family's guardian roared. Li Changsheng's palm was light. At first, the guardian did not care. However, the moment the palm was about to touch his body, his expression changed and a strong sense of danger rose in his heart. Oh no! He raised his hand to block the attack, but it was too late. The palm gently brushed past his chest, and the Lin family's consecrator was instantly sent flying, crashing into the wall of the corridor. When he fell to the ground, blood gushed out from his mouth, mixed with some blood clots. He was severely injured with just a slap. At this moment, whether it was the Lin family or Shen Kuo and the rest, they were all dumbfounded. Although they did not know about the existence of cultivators, they knew how powerful the Lin family's expert was. However, he was now like a piece of paper in Li Changsheng's hands. He could not even withstand a single blow. A sense of absurdity rose in everyone's hearts. They even suspected that this Lin family's consecrator was an imposter. At this moment, the most shocked person was none other than the Lin family consecrator himself. He had broken through to the Finger Xian realm many years ago. He also knew that with his talent, he would not be able to take another step forward in this lifetime. That was why he was willing to be a consecrator in the Lin family and spend his old age peacefully. Who would have thought that the Lin family would have an enemy like Gu Mangong? Furthermore, Gu Mangong was an expert who was not inferior to him. Most importantly, he had already reached the peak of his life and was going downhill every day. On the other hand, Gu Mangong was like the rising sun. There would always be a day when he would be like the sun in the sky, giving him a sense of danger. The lifespan of a cultivator was much longer than that of an ordinary person. Initially, he had thought that teaching the head of the Lin family, Lin Huang, the way of cultivation would be considered as repaying the Lin family's kindness. After that, he would leave Nanyang, a place that was full of trouble. However, who would have thought that he would hear that Lin Huang had been killed the moment he returned? Although Lin Huang's cultivation talent was average, he was definitely an expert in the secular world. Therefore, he decided to clear the obstacles for the Lin family one last time and avenge Lin Huang before officially leaving Nanyang. He knew that Gu Mangong was also preparing to leave Nanyang. Once the two of them were gone, the competition between the Gu organization and the Lin family would be purely commercial. However, he did not expect Li Changsheng to suddenly appear out of nowhere. I've been cultivating for many years, but it's a pity that I can't have a good ending. Li Changsheng shook his head and said, If you hadn't revealed your intention to kill me back then, I might have let you go. Li Changsheng took a step forward and appeared in front of the Lin family's high priest like a ghost. He slowly raised his palm. The high priest's eyes were filled with despair as he said with difficulty, What level are you exactly? How can you be so strong? Half a step to earth immortal. Li Changsheng slowly spat out a few words. The high priest smiled calmly. No wonder. I can die without regrets. As soon as he finished speaking, blood flowed out of his 7 orifices before Li Changsheng could do anything. He had cut off his heart meridian and died. He was indeed a proud person. Li Changsheng retracted his palm. At this moment, everyone looked at him in awe. Shen Kuo finally understood why Gu Mangong had kept Li Changsheng alive since he could kill the Lin family's high priest so easily. He was even stronger than Gu Mangong himself in Nanyang. I don't want to interfere with the grudge between the Lin family and the Gu organization. However, if you want to avenge Lin Huang, you could do it now. Li Changsheng stared at Lin Huang's brother, Lin Wen. Lin Wen quickly lowered his head. Although Lin Huang was his biological brother, and both of them were close, he could not risk his life for his brother who had passed away. Especially since he had become the new master of the Lin family. He had all the power, wealth, and status in his hands. I don't dare. He spat out 2 words. Since you don't dare, stop attacking the Gu organization immediately. I won't interfere with the grudge between you and the Gu organization anymore. After Li Changsheng finished speaking, Lin Wen let out a long sigh of relief. The Lin family had lost their high priest. If they wanted to destroy the Lin family, they would not be able to fight back at all. Although they were a powerful family in the secular world, they were weak in the hands of a cultivator. "Get out of here," Li Changsheng said calmly. Lin Wen immediately left with the rest of the Lin family. At this moment, only Ma Fei and the rest were left, looking at Li Changsheng in fear. However, Li Changsheng said to Shen Kuo, "You heard it. The Lin family has promised not to attack Gu's group. Therefore, we don't need to invalidate the list of personnel. We can continue with the plan. Once the Lin family's executive is dead, your foster father will leave Nanyang in a few days. Whether you can suppress the Lin family and dominate Nanyang in the future depends on your own ability." At this moment, Shen Kuo looked at Li Changsheng with respect. If there was any dissatisfaction before, it was gone now. Li Changsheng looked at Ma Fei, who was standing there, trembling. Gu Mangong said that someone among his subordinates had colluded with the Lin family. That person must be you. Hand over your power and choose a good grave for yourself. Don't worry, your family will not be affected. After Li Changsheng finished speaking, Ma Fei's eyes were filled with anger. Li Changsheng was asking him to die. Even if he had some dealings with the Lin family, he did not deserve to die. It seems that you're not as smart as the high priest of the Lin family. Li Changsheng shook his head and raised his hand gently. Ma Fei's body trembled before he fell limply to the ground. Pang Tai, who was next to him, reached out to touch his nose, but his hand suddenly retracted. The other party was no longer breathing. He had died just like that. At this moment, the surrounding people looked at Li Changsheng with not only respect but also fear. At this moment, they finally understood why Gu Mangong valued Li Changsheng so much. "I'll return to the villa first. I'm sure you can handle the aftermath." Li Changsheng glanced at Shen Kuo calmly. If not for Gu Mangong, Li Changsheng would not have bothered to deal with a force like the Lin family. It was like a person destroying an ant's nest. It was hard to feel accomplished. Chapter 657. Li Changsheng was completely free these days. He stayed in Gu Mangong's villa, cultivating while waiting for Gu Mangong's news. He knew that other than Ma Fei, who was killed, there were many people who had dirty dealings with the Lin family. However, he was too lazy to ask. He had only promised Gu Mangong that he would help Shen Kuo. He was not Shen Kuo's nanny. Furthermore, as Gu Mangong's successor, Li Changsheng had already helped him. If he could not even handle the remaining matters, then he would be too useless. On the 8th day, Gu Mangong finally returned. However, what made Li Changsheng frown was that he came back alone. He did not bring back the genius disciple who was said to have good cultivation potential. Moreover, Gu Mangong was injured. As if he had predicted something, Li Changsheng could not help but ask in a deep voice, "What happened? Who caused your injury?" Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Gu Mangong looked dispirited. "Sir, I'm incompetent. I can't even handle such a small matter. Originally, we found that child and persuaded his parents to leave a sum of money for them to bring him back to be your disciple. Who knew that another force would suddenly come and take a fancy to that child's aptitude?" Snatching a disciple, Li Changsheng couldn't help but frown. "Then he injured you?" "Yes. There was an expert in that group who was stronger than me. I told them that I found this disciple first, and I asked the child for his opinion. He was willing to go with me, but he didn't want to go with that group of people. However, that group of people took him by force. They had a lot of people, and they also had an expert. I fought with their leader, but in the end, I was injured." Gu Mangong lowered his head even more as he spoke. He had heard about what had happened in Nanyang. Li Changsheng had killed Lin Huang and the Lin family's consecrator. Everything was going according to his plan. However, he did not help Li Changsheng. "You don't have to blame yourself. The person who could defeat you is definitely not a nobody." "Which sect are they from?" "They are from the Forbidden Land. The one who injured me is an elder from the Forbidden Land." "Forbidden Land?" No wonder. Although Li Changsheng did not know what kind of sect this Forbidden Grounds was, ever since he woke up, he had heard many things about the Forbidden Grounds. It was a very mysterious sect. I didn't expect the Forbidden Land to snatch my disciple. Didn't you tell them that it was I, Li Changsheng, who had chosen the disciple? Li Changsheng was no longer a nobody. After defeating Xiao Yunqing, he was regarded as the #1 cultivator in the world, the #1 expert in the world. No sect was willing to easily provoke him. His name still carried a lot of weight. Of course I did. However, that elder said that it was impossible for him to return the disciple to us. If he had the ability, he would have to go and demand it from us. The Forbidden Land is indeed arrogant. Li Changxing snorted. It was just a disciple. It was fine even if he could not take him in. There was no lack of talents in the world. However, the Forbidden Land's words were clearly provocative. Moreover, Gu Mangong had been injured while helping him. Li Changsheng wanted to get an explanation. The Forbidden Land is extremely mysterious. I don't know where the headquarters are. Think of a way to investigate. How dare they bully me, Li Changsheng? Not to mention the Forbidden Land. Even the heavens will not allow it. Sir, you don't have to investigate. The elder of the Forbidden Land has already told me the exact location of the Forbidden Land. He said that you are welcome to come and spar with him at any time. The other party is really confident. Li Changxing snorted. The next day, Li Changxing set off with Gu Mangong to seek justice. No one would have thought that the Forbidden Land would set their headquarters outside the border in a desolate place. It was also because Gu Mangong was powerful in Nanyang that he was able to get a detailed map. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to find the Forbidden Land. It was no wonder that no one knew the location of the Forbidden Land's headquarters after so many years. The two of them first took a plane to the border and then walked into the primitive forest. If not for the fact that the two of them were martial cultivators, the various poisonous insects in the forest would have killed them. After walking through the forest for 3 days, they finally saw a building in front of them. It was early in the morning. Under the hazy fog, it looked like a celestial palace. We're finally here. Even Li Changsheng could not help but feel emotional. Although martial cultivators were usually far away from the secular world, the Forbidden Land had chosen such a secluded place. This Forbidden Land was really mysterious. Who are you people? Just as the two of them were staring at the building in a daze, a dense group of figures appeared from both sides. Surround the two of them. The leader of the group was a young man with a vigilant expression. Is there an elder with the surname Wu in your sect? Tell him that Li Changsheng is here for a spar. Hearing this, the other party became even more vigilant. To be able to cross so many mountains and rivers to reach the Forbidden Land, he was definitely not an ordinary person. Hearing Li Changxing's accent, he was here to find trouble with their elder Wu. Wait for a moment, I will go and report this. That elder Wu was a profound finger realm martial artist. If he dared to find trouble with him, he was naturally not someone a small leader like him could deal with. After secretly instructing a few subordinates to watch Li Changsheng and Gu Mangong, that person hurriedly walked towards the largest palace in the building. At this moment, many people were gathered in the main hall of the Forbidden Land to discuss matters. Sitting on the main seat was a middle-aged man with an extraordinary aura. Below him were 5 old men with powerful auras. They were currently arguing about something. That genius disciple was brought back by me from the outside. He should be my disciple. The old man said coldly. If Gu Mangong was here, he would recognize that it was the elder of the Forbidden Land, Wu Quan, who had injured him. Elder Wu, although you were the one who brought him back, and according to logic, he should be accepted as your disciple. However, you're practicing a wood attribute cultivation method, and that disciple has an innate fire attribute spiritual body. If you were to teach him, it would truly be inappropriate. Another old man shook his head and said, Why is it inappropriate? Who said that a wood element technique practitioner is not suitable to teach a fire element spiritual body? Let me teach him. I guarantee that he will become the most outstanding disciple of the Forbidden Land. Speaking of the words most outstanding disciple, everyone could not help but look at the man and woman standing in the corner. One was Zhang Xian, whose saber was taken away by Li Changsheng, and the other was his junior sister, Yunjing. These two were the most outstanding successors of the Forbidden Land, but they had lost the token of the Forbidden Land. That genius disciple was born with a fire spiritual body. All the elders of the Forbidden Land wanted to take him as their disciple. They had been arguing about this for several days, and Lingxing, the chief, could not make a decision at the moment. By the way, Elder Wu, I heard that when you found this genius disciple, someone had already beaten you to it. In the end, you still took him back. Lingxing asked. That's right. Wu Quan nodded. He is also an expert, but unfortunately, he is much weaker than me. I severely injured him. However, the other party said that he did not want to take him as his disciple. He was helping a friend find a disciple. His friend seems to be called Li Changsheng. From his tone, he wanted to use his friend to threaten me. I directly told him the address of the Forbidden Land and asked his friend to come to the Forbidden Land to take him back if he has the guts. As soon as Wu Quan finished speaking, several elders beside him also gave him thumbs up. That's right. The Forbidden Land has always been the best in the world. It should be so domineering. However, Lingxing, the chief of the Forbidden Land, could not help but frown. He always felt that this name was a little familiar, as if someone had mentioned it to him before. When he turned his head and saw the strange expressions on the faces of his two disciples, an idea suddenly flashed through his mind. He blurted out, "Isn't that the person who took Zhang Xian's token?" Chapter 658. Yunjing and his senior fellow apprentice, Zhang Xian, once again became the focus of everyone's attention. Every generation of disciples of the Forbidden Land who traveled the world were the best of the younger generation. However, in their generation, Lingxing, the headmaster of the Forbidden Land, was quite proud of his two talented disciples. Unexpectedly, less than a month after he left the Forbidden Land, his token was taken away by an outsider, which made him lose face. Zhang Xian, you have fought with Li Changsheng. Tell me, is there anything special about Li Changsheng? Hearing her master's words, Zhang Xian hurriedly replied, Li Changsheng is very powerful. I am no match for him. The headmaster immediately raised his eyebrows and thought, isn't that nonsense? If you were a match for Li Changsheng, you wouldn't have lost the token of the sect and made me lose face in the sect. Seeing that her master was about to lose his temper, Zhang Xian hurriedly continued, before I returned to the Forbidden Land, Li Changsheng defeated Xiao Yunxing and was praised as the #1 man in the world. Humph! One arrogant tone. The headmaster of the Forbidden Land couldn't help but snort. Every generation of disciples of the Forbidden Land who traveled the world would become the #1 man among the younger generation. So people of the Forbidden Land looked down on outsiders from the bottom of their hearts. People of the Forbidden Land lived deep in the mountains and forests, so the news was blocked. Li Changxing's reputation had long been well known in the cultivation world, but they didn't have any news about him. However, even if Zhang Xian brought the news about Li Changsheng, they still wouldn't pay attention to it. Since he dares to be called the #1 man in the world, it means that he has some ability. Lingxing said slowly. He couldn't say that his disciples were so useless that they were easily defeated by others. Moreover, his two disciples were really powerful. Li Changsheng could defeat them, which was enough to prove his ability. This alone was not enough to make people of the Forbidden Land really pay attention to him. Do you think Li Changsheng will come to us because we stole his disciple? Lingxing looked at the other elders present. Li Changsheng had snatched away Zhang Xian's token, and now they had snatched away his disciple. It could be considered as a small sigh of relief. I reckon that Li Changsheng wouldn't dare to come either. What kind of place is the Forbidden Area? Wouldn't he just be humiliating himself if he came? An elder said loudly with disdain written all over his face. I do hope that he will come. This is a good opportunity to teach him a lesson and make him obediently return the token that he took from my Forbidden Land. Then he will kowtow and apologize to my Forbidden Land. Wu Quan said coldly. Yes, I also hope that he will come, but he definitely won't dare to come. Another elder expressed his stance. They felt very regretful that Li Changsheng did not come to kill them. After all, they had stayed in this desolate place for too long, and it was too boring. If a guy came for them to teach them a lesson, it would undoubtedly be a very good thing. All right, let's not talk about Li Changsheng anymore. Lost the token, so naturally, he has to get it back himself. Is still young. That Li Changsheng must be an old man. It's not easy for him to cultivate to the peak of the finger profound realm. However, there's definitely no hope for him to improve further. Talent should be able to defeat him in less than 5 years, so the Forbidden Land sect master, Nielingxing, looked at Zhang Xian as he spoke. Do you have the confidence to get the token back in 5 years? Hearing his master's question, Zhang Xian's face could not help but turn bitter. If Li Changsheng was really an old man in his 70s or 80s, then Zhang Xian naturally had the confidence. However, a monster was a monster. The other party was about the same age as him, but his strength was many times higher than his. Zhang Xian did not have the confidence to defeat Li Changsheng in this lifetime, let alone 5 years. Seeing that his disciple did not respond for a long time, Nielingxing could not help but frown. What? I gave you 5 years, and you don't have the confidence to defeat him? You really disappoint me. The other elders also shook their heads. I watched Zhang Xian grow up, but I didn't expect him to have no ambition. Really, how can he be in charge of my forbidden land in the future? Looking at the questioning gazes, Zhang Xian felt a little aggrieved. Master, that Li Changsheng isn't an old man. He's the same age as me, a youth. He's a monster. I attacked with all my strength, but he only used 2 fingers to break my saber technique. I really have no confidence to defeat him. What? A young man? Everyone in the field widened their eyes. Nonsense. What a bunch of nonsense. You, Zhang Xian, are already the most outstanding disciple in my forbidden land. How can there be someone younger than you and stronger than you? In the hearts of everyone in the Forbidden Land was the most powerful place in the world. They absolutely could not accept that there was an existence more monstrous than the Forbidden Land. It's true. Zhang Xian wanted to say something, but his master glared at him fiercely. Shut up. It's fine if you lose, but you just had to make up such a lie. Who would believe that someone younger than you is at the finger profound realm? Just as he finished speaking, a young man hurriedly walked in. Sect Master, elders, there's someone outside looking for Elder Wu Quan. He even said that his name is Li Changsheng. What? This guy really came? Everyone was in disbelief. There's still such a bold person in this world who dares to barge into the Forbidden Land. How old is that Li Changsheng? What does he look like? The sect master asked impatiently. He's a young man, about 20 years old. What? The room fell into silence. This kid actually dared to come. It seems that he's not ordinary. Nielingxing had a cold smile on his face. He did not have a good impression of this person who defeated his disciple and stole the token. He had long wanted to stand up for his disciple, but he just did not have the chance. He did not expect that the other party would send himself to the door. Perhaps this kid knows that the Forbidden Land is not to be trifled with, so he came to apologize. An elder suddenly said on a whim, "That's right. The pride of the people in the Forbidden Land was engraved in their bones. Until now, they still did not believe that anyone would dare to go against the people in the Forbidden Land. By the way, Zhang Xian, when you fought with him and he stole your token, did he know that you were the successor of the Forbidden Land? I didn't know that. That's right. He must have found out Zhang Xian's identity now. He knows that she's a disciple of the Forbidden Land, so he came to apologize. Is that really the case? Elders, what do you think?" Even Yao Lingxing was hesitant. If he really came to apologize, what should we do? Let him kneel down and kowtow 3 times to teach him a lesson. That was what Nielingxing thought. At this moment, the disciple who came in to report said carefully, Li Changsheng said that he wanted to spar with Elder Wu, but he did not say that he was here to apologize. What? The face of the person who made the guess immediately darkened. He's not here to apologize? That's too much. At this moment, Wu Quan stood up abruptly. He specifically asked me to spar with him. It seems that he doesn't take me seriously. I'd like to see what's so great about him that he dares to call himself the most powerful person in the world. With that, he walked out directly. Well, should we go out and have a look too? The other elders could not sit still anymore. Okay, let's go out together. I like to see what kind of person Li Changsheng is. Therefore, a group of people in the hall rushed out in a mighty manner. Chapter 659. In front of the palace gate of the Forbidden Grounds, countless pairs of eyes were looking at Li Changsheng and his companion. Is Li Changsheng? Elder Wu Quan looked at the young man, standing in front of him with surprise in his eyes. Even though he knew about Li Changsheng in advance, he was still surprised to see him in person. He was too young. Such a young man was called the #1 expert in the cultivation world. He was the one who defeated the successor of the Forbidden Grounds. It was also this young man who dared to cross the primeval forest and challenge him in front of the Forbidden Grounds. To be honest, even he admired Li Changsheng a little. But more than that, he sneered. A young man dared to challenge him. He was courting death. You are the one who stole my disciple. Li Changsheng was also sizing up Elder Wu Quan. He was definitely a profound Finger Realm expert. I'm here to get my disciple back. As long as you return my disciple to me, I'll go our separate ways in the Forbidden Grounds. Ha! Wu Quan interrupted with a sneer. Impossible. I did steal your disciple. What can you do about it? People were always easily deceived by appearances. Just like Wu Quan at this moment. He knew Li Changsheng's strength was extraordinary, but because of Li Changsheng's age, he still looked down on him. The people from the other Forbidden Grounds were also quietly sizing them up, especially the sect leader Yelingxing. His face was getting uglier and uglier. He looked at his disciple Zhang Xian with hostility. Xian, you lost to a young man like this? He was a little embarrassed. If Li Changsheng was really a top expert, it would be fine to show off. But at this moment, it was obvious that he was nothing. He even suspected that all the information about Li Changsheng was made up by Zhang Xian. The Forbidden Grounds are indeed the Forbidden Grounds. Such a tough attitude. Li Changsheng originally wanted to use peaceful means before resorting to force, but now he couldn't help but sigh. It turns out that before reasoning in this world, it still depends on whether one's fist is strong enough or not. Wu, you stole my disciple, yet you refuse to show any signs of repentance. Come and accept your death. Li Changsheng crooked his finger at Wu Quan. Wu Quan's eyes widened. What did you say? Then he flew into a rage. Brat, I think you're tired of living. As his voice fell, he suddenly waved his hand, and a transparent handprint grabbed at Li Changsheng. Separated by a distance of tens of meters, the handprint brought with it a biting cold wind and fell with a loud bang. As expected of an elder of the Forbidden Grounds, his attacks were extraordinary, and his aura was astonishing. However, Li Changsheng's eyes were filled with contempt. He raised his hand and pointed a finger. Suddenly, the transparent palm was like a balloon that had encountered a needle. Pucci. In front of Li Changsheng, it turned into scattered energy and disappeared in the air. How is this possible? At this moment, the eyes of many elders of the Forbidden Grounds turned solemn. Wu Quan's strength was ranked in the top 3 in the Forbidden Grounds. Although he had made a move to test Su Mo's strength, it was really shocking that it had been countered so easily. You injured my brother, Gu Mangong, and stole my disciple. Today I'll kill you. Li Changsheng's voice sounded indifferent, and his figure charged towards Wu Quan like a ghost. Wu Quan hurriedly waved his hand, and his palms flew up and down, forming a barrier in front of him. However, just as the barrier was formed, it shattered with a poochie sound. Li Changsheng's palm lightly imprinted on his chest. In the next moment, he spat out blood, and his body flew out horizontally. When he landed, he took 7 or 8 steps back before he could stop himself. His eyes were filled with horror. One move, just one move, and he was seriously injured. It was actually so terrifying. At this moment, the people of the Forbidden Grounds who originally looked down on Li Changsheng were shocked. They finally understood why Zhang Xian lost to Li Changsheng, and why she was not confident that she could take back the keepsake within 5 years. It was simply too terrifying. It seems that the forbidden grounds were too arrogant. At this moment, Nie Lingxing's expression turned solemn. He snorted and said, "Let's take him down together. This person is too demonic. We can't allow such an enemy to grow." Nie Lingxing was also a ruthless person. As soon as he saw how powerful Li Changsheng was, he wanted to kill him. As soon as Nie Lingxing finished speaking, a few elders and more than a dozen hall masters and guardians joined the battle. All kinds of spells, swords, spears, and halberds were thrown towards Li Changsheng. They were so dense that they covered the sky like locusts, and their momentum was shocking. Gu Mangong's face turned pale instantly. He knew that if he were to face such an attack, he would probably be blasted into pieces in one round. However, Li Changsheng had no intention of dodging. He raised his fist and took the initiative to charge into the sea of spells. On the other side of the forbidden grounds, Nie Lingxing sneered. "You're still too young after all. You actually chose to face it head-on. You're courting death." The densely packed spells swallowed Li Changsheng like a surging wave. Each attack could flatten a small mountain. When dozens of attacks were combined, even Mount Tai would be shaken. However, the moment Li Changsheng charged into the attack, he raised his fist and punched out. Accompanied by a shocking roar, he opened up a path for his fist in the sea of spells. Like a speedboat breaking through the waves, the densely packed attacks shattered the moment they came into contact with his fist force. In the blink of an eye, Li Changsheng was almost in front of Wu Quan. He said that he was going to kill him, so naturally, he would do it. Wu Quan's face was extremely pale, and his eyes were filled with fear. "Save me," he cried out in alarm. Immediately, a few protectors and hall masters appeared in front of him, shielding him. In the next second, there was a loud boom. 5 guardians and 3 hall masters exploded into clouds of blood mist under Li Changsheng's fist force. Fist exploding mountains and rivers. Li Changsheng's physical strength was comparable to a peerless treasure. Even if his fist did not hit Wu Quan, it was enough to scare him out of his wits. The people in the forbidden grounds were even more frightened. "I'll fight it out with you." Wu Quan's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. He let out a long roar. Under his tattered clothes, his eyes actually turned blood red. Elder Wu is going all out. This is his violent secret technique. Once activated, he can unleash double his combat strength, but it will also cause great damage to his body. Many people exclaimed. It was obvious that Li Changsheng had killed a few guardians and hall masters, which made him completely furious. Elder Wu Quan was already close to the peak of the Finger Profound Realm. Now that he has activated his secret technique, he definitely has the combat strength of the peak of the Finger Profound Realm. Nie Lingxing sighed. He knew that after this battle, Wu Quan's cultivation would not improve, but instead regress. After all, any secret technique had a price to pay. However, he knew that Wu Quan had no choice. 5 guardians and 3 hall masters died to save him. If he did not do something, he would not be able to explain it to others. Therefore, Wu Quan could only fight with his life on the line. Chapter 660. Given Elder Wu's current state, he can fight anyone below the Earth's celestial stage. Countless people in the Forbidden Lands sighed with emotion. The people of the Forbidden Lands were used to being high and mighty. Who would have thought that someone would force them to such an extent? However, everyone was also filled with confidence in Wu Quan. They believed that with Wu Quan's battle prowess, it was enough to crush Li Changsheng. It's just a small trick. Li Changsheng suddenly raised his palm and turned it into a giant palm print. A transparent palm appeared in the sky and pressed down from above like the Buddha's 5-finger mountain. When Wu Quan's attack hit the palm, it was like a wave hitting a huge rock. His body was smashed into pieces. Then the palm pressed down mercilessly, and Wu Quan was slapped into the ground. Rumble! The ground was shaking, and dust was flying everywhere. When the giant palm disappeared, Wu Quan had been smashed into a meat patty. He was completely dead. At this moment, even the wind seemed to have stopped. Everyone in the Forbidden Lands opened their eyes wide. Wu Quan was one of the top 3 powerhouses in the Forbidden Lands. Especially after activating the violent secret skill, his combat strength was almost on par with sect leader Nielixing. However, he was killed just like that. This man was so powerful. The area fell into absolute silence. Seeing Wu Quan's miserable state, everyone felt anger, pain, and more importantly, fear in their hearts. Even Wu Quan, who had activated the violent secret skill, died so miserably. Who else could be Li Changxing's match? This is the biggest disgrace in the Forbidden Lands. Let's join forces to kill this traitor. Nielixing finally came to himself and cried out sorrowfully. Just now, they were too confident in Wu Quan. Therefore, no one came to his rescue. In the end, it led to a tragedy. At this moment, Nielixing was the first to attack. A long saber cut through the sky and slashed toward Li Changxing. The most powerful thing in the Forbidden Lands was the saber technique. The golden saber radiance was raging in the sky and was invincible. The other elders and guardians of the Forbidden Lands followed closely behind. All kinds of attacks were led by the saber radiance. This was an extremely gorgeous scene, like countless fireworks. However, behind this beautiful scene, there was a terrifying killing intent. Good timing. Li Changxing's heroic spirit rose as he raised his hand to cast the seal of mountains and rivers. Mountains and rivers appeared in his palm. As he struck out with his palm, the mountain and river in his palm continued to expand and solidify, smashing into the sea of spells. The golden blade light smashed on the mountain and river, causing the mountains and rivers to tremble. The densely packed spells fell like rain, but no matter how powerful the attacks were, they were unable to break through the defense of the seal of mountains and rivers. At this moment, after neutralizing all the attacks, Li Changxing suddenly raised his hand and pressed down. The seal of mountains and rivers changed from defense to offense, completely displaying its power. It smashed into the crowd in front of him. Looking at the seal of mountains and rivers that blotted out the sky, everyone's face was filled with shock. Once it smashed down, it would be a doomsday disaster. Who knew how many people in the Forbidden Area would lose their lives? Li Changxing, you are so vicious. Nielixing had gone completely mad. The Forbidden Area was what it was today because of the efforts of generations of ancestors. If they all died today, Nielixing would be the biggest sinner. I'll fight you to the death. Nielixing roared, and the golden blade in his hand turned into a 5-clawed golden dragon that rushed toward the descending seal of mountains and rivers. This golden blade was a treasure of the Forbidden Area that had been passed down for generations. There was an ancient divine dragon sealed in it. The divine dragon had been continuously refined by the sect masters of the Forbidden Area and had long been completely integrated with the blade. It could be said that it was Nielixing's greatest trump card. Seeing Nielixing take out the sect's treasure, many people in the Forbidden Area had tears in their eyes and were extremely excited. At this critical moment of life and death, the sect's treasure was like a blazing sun rising in the darkness. Bang, 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 bang. The 5-clawed golden dragon finally collided with the seal of mountains and rivers. The seal of mountains and rivers was one of the seals that Li Changxing had developed by imprinting the shape of mountains and rivers. Once it was used, it was like pulling up an entire mountain range and smashing it toward the enemy. The golden blade of the Forbidden Area sealed the 5-clawed dragon's soul. When combined with the blade light, the power produced was enough to shatter the void. It could be said that this move had already surpassed the power of the mortal world. Even the peak of the finger-profound realm would be killed by it. Everyone looked at the sky. Being able to force the Forbidden Area to use their trump card was enough to go down in history. Rumble. After a violent collision, the seal of mountains and rivers that Li Changxing had created was constantly being cut open. The people in the Forbidden Area clenched their fists tightly. However, the moment the seal of mountains and rivers was about to be broken open, Li Changxing made another move. He created a giant palm print that slapped down and directly slapped the golden blade down from the sky. The 5-clawed golden dragon let out a sad cry and dissipated in the air. How is this possible? At this moment, even Nie Lingxing's eyes were filled with fear. This was the golden blade that had been passed down in the forbidden area for countless generations. It was actually broken just like that. Moreover, the moment the golden blade was slapped down and the five-clawed golden dragon was shattered, Nie Lingxing clearly felt a sense of sadness. He was extremely shocked. The golden blade had been refined by him day and night with his blood and was connected to his bloodline. Therefore, he could be sure that the dragon's soul was completely destroyed by Li Changxing's palm. Without the dragon's soul, the power of the golden blade would be greatly reduced from now on. Rumble. After the palm slapped down the golden dragon, it didn't stop and slapped down into the crowd. Immediately, countless screams were heard. Even though the golden blade blocked most of the power, this move still killed 8 experts and severely injured more than 10 people. At this moment, the forbidden area had suffered heavy casualties. Li Changxing walked toward the crowd step by step. Every step he took seemed to be stepping on people's hearts. A heavy pressure pressed down on Nie Lingxing. "Kid, you've gone too far." Nie Lingxing put his index finger into his mouth and bit it. He drew a series of ancient characters on his chest. A terrifying energy rose from his body. Secret method. Another secret method. At this moment, his hair fluttered in the wind. He waved his hands and rushed towards Li Changxing. "You're indeed much stronger than that, Wu Quan. However, do you think you can compete with me just by activating your secret method?" Li Changxing's expression didn't change. He didn't even try to stop Nie Lingxing, who was rushing towards him. He just let Nie Lingxing get to him. Nie Lingxing couldn't help but look puzzled. He actually hesitated a little. Judging from Li Changxing's actions, he was definitely not a stupid person. Since he chose not to stop him, he must have something to rely on. "You guys are always thinking about this, and that when you're just attacking. This is so annoying." Li Changxing sighed helplessly. Then, he threw a punch forward. Rumble. The fist energy bloomed like a roaring dragon. At this moment, the entire mountain was shaking. Chapter 661. Boom! As Li Changxing punched out, a mighty fist force shot out from his fist and shook the entire area. At this moment, everyone felt small and insignificant, as if they were facing a god. The mighty fist force shot out like a cannonball and landed on Nie Lingxing's chest in front of everyone's shocked eyes. How is this possible? Nie Lingxing's eyes were filled with shock. In the next moment, he was sent flying. Mr. Strength is terrifying. In the distance, Gu Mangong was already trembling. Although he had followed Li Changxing for many years, he had never had the chance to see Li Changxing in action. He had always thought that he would be closer to Li Changxing when he broke through to the Fingerxian realm. Only now did he realize how stupid he was. Li Changxing was like a towering mountain, and he was always standing at the foot of the mountain and looking up at the sky. Nie Lingxing was sent flying with one punch. Everything in the path of the fist force, be it boulders, grass, trees, or the palace behind, was destroyed. Not even a blade of grass was left. Was he still human? The people in the Forbidden Lands no longer had the courage to attack. A few minutes later, a figure staggered out of the huge pit. His hair was disheveled, and he was in a mess. It was Nie Lingxing. Fortunately, he had activated his secret technique, and his body's potential had reached an unprecedented level of strength. That was why he had survived the mighty punch. Seeing Nie Lingxing walking over step by step, Li Changxing's eyes were filled with coldness. Do you still want to attack? If Nie Lingxing still did not repent, Li Changxing would not mind flattening the Forbidden Lands. No. Nie Lingxing smiled bitterly. At this moment, how could he not understand the difference between him and Li Changxing? If he continued to act recklessly, he would destroy the foundation of the Forbidden Lands that had been established for hundreds of years. I was wrong in the Forbidden Grounds. Mister, please show mercy and forgive us. Even the arrogant Nie Lingxing had to lower his head at this moment. Although Li Changxing had killed so many people from the Forbidden Lands, what could he do? He could only suppress the hatred in his heart and choose to submit. Where's my disciple? Li Changsheng didn't care about what Nye Lingxing was thinking. As long as someone heard him, he would learn his lesson. Yes, yes. Nye Lingxing looked at his disciple, Zhang Xian. Xianer, bring Tong Xian here. Yes. Zhang Xian gave Li Changsheng a complicated look, then turned around and returned to the palace. Sir, please follow me into the hall. Nye Lingxing made an inviting gesture. All right. Li Changsheng followed Nye Lingxing to the meeting hall of the Forbidden Grounds and sat down on the main seat. Nye Lingxing, the sect master, could only sit beside him. The elders and protectors of the Forbidden Ground looked at Li Changsheng with awe. Not long after, Zhang Xian walked in with a young boy. The young boy had red lips and white teeth, and his skin was very good. He didn't look like a child from the countryside at all. Li Changsheng knew that it was because of the spirit qi circulating in his body. Your name is Tong Xian? Li Changsheng sized up the young boy. Almost from the moment he entered the hall, he could feel a trace of spirit qi circulating in his body. The innate fire spirit body was even stronger than LV Jiala's fire phoenix bloodline. No wonder Elder Wu Quan couldn't help but want to snatch this child when he saw him. Yes, Tong Xian answered crisply. At the same time, there was a hint of fear on his face. He was just a student in junior high school. During the holidays, he helped his parents work in the fields. Suddenly, a guy named Gu Mangong came to him and said that he would give his parents a sum of money so that they could take him to practice martial arts. At first, his parents didn't agree, but Gu Mangong took out a whole box of money. Therefore, his parents, who had worked in the fields all their lives, finally nodded and agreed. They even said that they were lucky to have encountered such wealth. However, just as he left the village with the boss, surnamed Gu, another group of people came. They even had a conflict. This was the first time Tong Xian knew that there was someone in the world who could be so powerful. It was the first time he knew that there were immortals in the world. The boss, surnamed Gu, was very powerful, but in the end, he was beaten until he vomited blood. He was brought here and was very nervous. Fortunately, the people here were very kind to him. Tong Xian raised his head and saw that the boss was also looking curiously at the young man who asked him. It was as if he was the person with the highest status here. Tong Xian, from now on, you are my disciple. You also have a senior brother. After some time, I will bring you to see him. Are you willing to acknowledge me as your master? Li Changsheng's voice wasn't loud, but it was like a big bell in Tong Xian's heart. This was done deliberately by Li Changsheng. As a master, he naturally had to establish his authority. However, this change could only be felt by him and Tong Xian. The others couldn't see it at all. I am willing. Although Tong Xian felt that the master in front of him was too young and couldn't be compared to the old immortals who came to see him every day, when Li Changsheng's voice sounded, there was only respect left in his heart. Then kneel down and kowtow. When Tong Xian heard Li Changsheng's words, he immediately knelt down and kowtowed 3 times, officially acknowledging him as his master. That's right. Li Changsheng stood up and said to Gu Mangong, "It's time for us to leave." After saying that, he walked down the stairs and held Tong Xian's hand as they walked out of the main hall. They actually left just like that. The remaining people in the Forbidden Grounds looked at each other. The matter was over just like that, but their hearts were filled with complicated feelings. To Li Changsheng, it was just a small matter. However, to the Forbidden Grounds, it was a disaster. What an unexpected disaster. An elder suddenly burst into tears a few minutes after Li Changsheng left. The invincible belief that the Forbidden Grounds had built up over hundreds of years had completely collapsed at this moment. Even Nye Lingxing felt extremely conflicted. The feud between Li Changsheng and the Forbidden Grounds was extremely laughable, just because of a fight over a disciple. Even if the Forbidden Grounds couldn't take in a disciple like Tong Xian, it wouldn't be a loss to the Forbidden Grounds at all. This might be an unexpected disaster for the Forbidden Grounds, but it was also a wake-up call. The Forbidden Grounds were blindly arrogant. It was time for them to recognize themselves. On the second day after Li Changsheng left the Forbidden Grounds, the Forbidden Grounds announced that they would seal off the mountain for 10 years. At the same time, They listed Li Changsheng as their #1 enemy. They hoped that one day, the successor of the Forbidden Grounds would be able to defeat Li Changsheng and avenge their humiliation. Li Changsheng didn't care about everything that happened in the Forbidden Grounds. He first followed Gu Mangong back to Nanyang. Then he brought his second disciple, Tong Xian, back to the country by plane and headed north. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. It was time for the thing that was being nurtured under Mount Xianhuang to be born. Chapter 662. After leaving Nanyang, Li Changsheng brought his second disciple, Tong Xian, and headed north to Mount Xianhuang. The thing that was nurtured under Mount Xianhuang should have matured by now. Li Changsheng naturally wouldn't miss out on a divine object, nurtured in a spirit vein. Even in the pre-Qin period, when spiritual energy was abundant, the objects nurtured in spirit veins were treasures that cultivators would fight over with their lives. In the current era, where spiritual energy was scarce, they were even more precious. They took a plane back to the mainland from Nanyang and took a train north. In the end, they had to take a bus. When they went further north, there wouldn't even be a bus. They would have to walk. For Li Changsheng, he wouldn't feel tired even if he walked for months. But Tong Xian was different. He was still a child after all. But these days, Li Changsheng had been teaching him cultivation. He was considered a beginner. After all, he had an innate fire spirit body. Even if he didn't know how to cultivate, his body would automatically absorb spirit qi. It could be said that he had built a good foundation. Because of his handsome appearance and the nourishment of the spirit qi, Tong Xian was like a porcelain doll. No matter where he went, there would be people who wanted to pinch his cheeks that could squeeze water out of them. They were also very fond of him. Especially girls, they would have a good impression of him. This kid is so handsome. When Li Changsheng sat in his seat and closed his eyes to rest, an 18 or 19-year-old girl with a ponytail beside him exclaimed in surprise. Her gaze was fixed on Tong Xian. Tong Xian was still a child after all. Being stared at like this, his face turned red. "Hello, I'm Umo. Is he your brother? His skin is so good." The ponytailed girl saw that Tong Xian was a little shy and took the initiative to talk to Li Changsheng. "I'm Li Changsheng. He's my disciple. His name is Tong Xian." Disciple? The girl's eyes were filled with curiosity. The girl was beautiful and wore a half-sleeve shirt with jeans. She was full of youthfulness. "What do you teach him? Painting, music, gymnastics? Or something like football or basketball?" She thought that Li Changsheng was talking about the relationship between a student and a teacher. She didn't expect it to be the traditional relationship of a teacher for a day, a father for life. "I'll teach him Go," Li Changsheng said casually. "You know how to play Go?" Yumo's eyes were filled with admiration. "Go is too complicated. My dad used to force me to learn Go every day, but my comprehension was really not good. After many years of learning, I was still a rookie. Since you could be a teacher, your Go skills must be very high, right?" "It's all right." Li Changxing smiled. "That's about the level of a professional Go player." "Wow, you are so good. Professional Go players are all high and mighty in my eyes." The girl was very talkative, especially when the journey was boring. "Yuma, don't disturb his rest." At this moment, a dignified voice came from his side. It was a middle-aged man. Li Changsheng had not paid much attention to the other party when he saw that the other party had been resting with his eyes closed. Now that the other party had spoken, he immediately noticed that the other party's eyes were shining brightly. Clearly, he was not an ordinary person. "Got it, Dad." Umo stuck out her tongue. "I'm sorry. My daughter has been spoiled." The middle-aged man smiled apologetically at Li Changsheng and continued to rest with his eyes closed. He was obviously more troubled than his daughter. Li Changsheng could tell from the other party's behavior that the other party was still cautious of the outside world. However, Li Changsheng and his disciple Tong Xian did not seem to be a threat. That was why the other party did not stop his daughter from interacting with Li Changsheng from the beginning. At this moment, the bus that was moving suddenly braked. The people who were sleeping in the bus were knocked onto the seats in front of them. Even those who were not in deep sleep were thrown forward by the inertia. Then there was a loud bang. A sledgehammer smashed the front windshield of the bus into pieces. Then, A few black muzzles were pointed at the driver's head. They shouted, "Open the door!" The driver had never seen such a scene. He quickly pressed the button to open the door. Meanwhile, the passengers in the bus realized what was going on. Their faces turned pale. The door opened, and 5 to 6 fierce-looking strong men walked in. Each of them had a double-barreled shotgun in their hands. They walked along the seats and asked the passengers to take out their precious items. A middle-aged woman refused a hand over the golden necklace on her neck. One of the strong men pulled her hair and kicked her head twice. Her face was badly mutilated. The rest of the passengers were trembling in fear. No one dared to resist. When they reached the back, one of them raised his gun and pointed it at the middle-aged man's head. He extended his hand and said, "Give me your bag." Just as the middle-aged man was about to push the bag forward, the ponytailed girl, UMO, suddenly stood up. "This belongs to us. Why should I give it to you?" "Because I have a gun." The strong man sneered. "So what if you have a gun?" UMO showed no fear in the face of these ferocious-looking strong men. "UMO, stop fooling around." The middle-aged man reprimanded his daughter. However, as soon as he spoke, UMO suddenly moved. Her hand was as fast as lightning. She snatched the shotgun from the strong man's hand in an instant. At the same time, her palm landed lightly on the strong man's chest. The 1.8-meter-tall strong man took a few steps back and almost knocked down his companion behind him. "How dare you rob us with such skills?" UMO raised her chin proudly. At the same time, she said to Li Changsheng and Tong Xian, "Don't be afraid. It's just a few thieves. I'll protect you." However, the middle-aged man did not look happy because of his daughter's beautiful skills. Instead, he sighed. As expected, the strong man who was pushed back by Yumo's palm was not angry. Instead, he was delighted. He laughed and said, "Han Tianlong, Han Yuma, it's really you and your daughter. Get out of the car. Our protectors are waiting in front. If you don't want to drag everyone in the bus to die with you, listen to us." Sigh. The middle-aged man sighed. "All right." At the same time, he turned to his daughter and said, "Yuma, get out of the car. The 7 Mysteries sect's great protector is here. Our identities have been exposed. There's no need to continue hiding. You just don't listen to me. I told you not to stand out so easily. If you didn't do anything, they wouldn't have seen our faces. As long as you handed the items to them, we would be safe." "You mean they're from the 7 Mysteries sect?" Han Yuma's face was slightly pale. She lowered her head and said, "Father, I was wrong." The two of them left their seats obediently and walked out of the bus. "Master, let's help this little sister, okay? I feel that she's a good person." Tong Xian looked at Li Changsheng with a pleading look. Along the way, he knew that his master was like an immortal. The strong man who was about to leave after capturing Han Yuma and her father heard Tong Xian's voice. He suddenly turned around and looked at Li Changsheng and Tong Xian cautiously. "Friend, please don't misunderstand. I don't know this father and daughter well." Li Changsheng chuckled. "Just do what you need to do. Don't worry about us." Hee hee. "Who's joking with you?" The brawny man snorted and pointed at Li Changsheng and Tong Xian, saying, "You two come with me as well. Don't try to play any tricks. I can see that you are their accomplices." Chapter 663. Li Changsheng and his disciple were escorted off the bus by a few strong men. The driver, who was scared out of his wits, hurriedly started the car and sped away as fast as he could. Perhaps because they were too panicked, they made a sharp turn and almost flipped the bus over. However, a few brawny men caught hold of Han Tianlong and his daughter. They didn't care about the bus anymore. When they saw the bus almost flip over, they laughed proudly. Li Changsheng bitterly said, "It's over." The bus ran away. "We have to walk." Hearing the word walk, Tong Xian's face also turned bitter. The strong man beside him sneered, "You don't even know if you can survive, and you still want to take the bus and leave?" They were brought to a forest by the roadside. A middle-aged man in a long robe was looking at Han Tianlong and Han Yuma with a cold smile. "Surnamed Han, I didn't think that you would still be unable to escape from my grasp." hand over the demonic flood dragon crouching flame diagram. Otherwise, you should know what I, Yang Zheng, am capable of. The middle-aged man sneered. The demonic flood dragon crouching flame diagram is an opportunity one obtained from the secret realm. Why should I give it to you? Moreover, even if I give it to you, will you really let me go? The reason you stopped me halfway was because you were afraid that I would bring the demonic flood dragon crouching flame diagram back to the sect. I'm afraid that if I give it to you, you will immediately kill me. At that time, there will be no evidence. Ha! Surname Han, you are quite smart. Many people in the sect have suggested to stop you on your way back. However, I know that you are a smart person. The treasure of Mount Xianhuang has appeared, and all the experts of the great sects have gathered there. I guess that you would go there and meet with the elders of your sect. At that time, my Seven Mysteries sect will not be able to do anything to you. Unfortunately, no matter how well you planned, you were still caught red-handed by me. Yang Zheng patted the dust off his clothes and stood up from the rock. Han Tianlong, I'll give you two choices now. 1. Hand over the flood dragon taming flames demonic painting. Even though you and your daughter will die, I'll give you a quick death. 2. I'll personally take action. At that time, it's fine if you don't die a quick death, but you should think about what will happen to your beautiful daughter. Han Tianlong's face instantly turned pale. I'll give you 3 minutes to consider. I hope you don't make a mistake. After he finished speaking, Yang Zheng's gaze fell onto Li Changsheng and Tong Xian. He frowned and said, "These two are their companions?" The burly man hurriedly reported, "I don't know either. I just saw that they seemed to be close to Han Tianlong and his daughter, so I brought them along. Who cares if they're accomplices? They're just two insignificant people. Drag them out and kill them. Find a place to bury their bodies and clean them up." After Yang Zheng finished speaking, the burly man immediately obeyed. "Protector Yang, my father and daughter have already admitted defeat after being intercepted by you. However, these two people really have nothing to do with us. They shouldn't be implicated by us. If I hand over the demonic flood dragon crouching flame diagram, can you let them go?" Han Tianlong pleaded on behalf of Li Changsheng and Tong Xian. "I can't." Yang Zheng shook his head. "If the news of you dying in my hand spreads, your sect's elders will not let this matter rest. Therefore, no matter who these two are, they will die without a doubt." This, Han Tianlong sighed and said to Li Changsheng apologetically, "Little brother, my father and I have implicated you. It's fine." Contrary to Han Tianlong's expectations, Li Changsheng was not afraid at all. Instead, he laughed and said, "I don't like to meddle in other people's business. However, since other people have come knocking on my door, I'm not afraid. Furthermore, I see that you and your father are kind people. Let me help you." As he spoke, he looked at the Seven Mysteries sect's great protector, Yang Zheng. "I'll give you a chance. Immediately take your men and scram, and I will spare your lives. Otherwise, you will have to bear the consequences." "What did you say?" Hearing this, Yang Zheng was so angry that he laughed. "Little brat, do you think that I, Yang Zheng, am a coward?" As he spoke, he ordered his subordinates, "Deal with this guy for me." The burly man was already impatient. As soon as he heard Yang Zheng's order, he immediately took a few steps forward and reached out to grab Li Changsheng's shoulder. However, in the next moment, the moment his hand touched Li Changsheng's shoulder, the complacent expression on his face instantly turned ugly. Immediately after, a bang was heard, and the burly man let out a blood-curdling scream. Bang, bang, bang. He took 3 steps back. The hand that he used to grab Li Changsheng, together with his entire arm, was twisted. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Even Yang Zheng's expression became serious. I didn't expect him to be an expert. As he spoke, his body turned into an afterimage and rushed towards Li Changsheng. He was determined to take down Li Changsheng first. "You're courting death." Li Changsheng snorted coldly, but did not make any moves. However, the great guardian, Yang Zheng, who had rushed to Li Changsheng's side, flew backwards at an even faster speed and crashed into a tree behind him. The tree, which was thick enough for 2 people to wrap their arms around it, was split into 2. Yang Zheng himself fell to the ground, his face pale, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. At this moment, everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. This was especially true for Han Tianlong and his daughter. They never thought that this ordinary-looking young man would have such terrifying strength. One had to know that the great guardian of the Seven Mysteries sect was a famous expert in the northern lands. When he appeared, Han Tianlong and his daughter did not even have the thought of resisting. However, in front of Li Changsheng, they were so weak that they could not even withstand a single blow. An expert. This was definitely an expert. Han Tianlong and his daughter were extremely excited. Han Yimou's pair of big eyes curiously sized up Li Changsheng with admiration and reverence. Yang Zheng, who had landed on the ground, struggled a few times before he could barely stand up. He looked at Li Changsheng with fear in his eyes. Trembling, he cupped his hands and said, "This humble one has eyes but failed to recognize Mount Tai. This humble one apologizes for offending Sir." After he finished speaking, he signaled to a few of his subordinates and turned to leave. "Stop right there," Li Changsheng suddenly said coldly. "Just now, you wanted to take my life. Now you want to leave so easily? Don't you think you're dreaming?" Hearing Li Changsheng's voice, Yang Zheng's body suddenly trembled. He turned his head and cautiously said, "Sir, do you have any other orders? I am the great guardian of the Seven Mysteries sect. I hope that Sir can spare me this time for the sake of the Seven Mysteries sect. The entire Seven Mysteries sect will be grateful to Sir." Yang Zheng kept mentioning the Seven Mysteries sect. He was reminding Li Changsheng that if he killed Yang Zheng, he would become an enemy of the Seven Mysteries sect. He wanted to use the sect to pressure Li Changsheng. So, it's the Seven Mysteries sect. Li Changsheng revealed an expression of sudden realization. "That's right. I am the great guardian of the Seven Mysteries sect. My Seven Mysteries sect master is a Vajra realm expert. So you have to die. Since your sect is so powerful, after you return, wouldn't I be releasing a tiger back to the mountain? As long as I kill you to silence you, no one will know. That's the most worrisome thing." After Li Changsheng finished speaking, Yang Zheng's face turned extremely ugly. He felt as if he had shot himself in the foot. Chapter 664. At this moment, Yang Zheng's expression was extremely ugly. Indeed, Li Changsheng was right. Silencing him was the best choice. What a piece of trash. Scram. Li Changsheng was too lazy to argue with this kind of person. With a wave of his arm, a gust of wind blasted Yang Zheng dozens of meters away, fleeing with his subordinates. At the side, Han Tianlong cautiously asked, "Benefactor, why did you let them go? There are many people from the Seven Mysteries sect heading to Mount Xianwang. I'm afraid that he will find someone to take revenge on you." Knowing that Han Tianlong had good intentions, Li Changsheng smiled and said, "It's fine. A mere Seven Mysteries sect is nothing in my eyes." "Benefactor, which sect are you from? To have such strength at such a young age?" Seeing that Li Changsheng did not care, Han Tianlong was relieved. In his opinion, Li Changsheng's strength was so terrifying at such a young age. He must be from a famous sect. There was no need to be afraid of a mere Seven Mysteries sect. "You wouldn't know my sect even if I told you. I have some things to ask you." "Benefactor, please speak. I will tell you everything I know," Han Tianlong hurriedly said. Since Li Changsheng was unwilling to tell him his sect, he naturally did not dare to ask. "Why did you go to Mount Xianhuang this time? I want to know more." "Benefactor, are you not going to Mount Xianhuang to seize the treasure?" Han Tianlong was somewhat surprised. Most of the cultivators that appeared in the northern lands came because of Mount Xianhuang. He thought that Li Changsheng was also one of them. It's like this. A few days ago, there was a surge of spirit energy on Mount Xianhuang. There were experts who speculated that a treasure was about to be born. One must know that the spirit energy in the world is scarce. Who wouldn't want to fight for the treasure? Now, not only the northern lands cultivators, but everyone in the world is gathering at Mount Xianhuang to seize the treasure. So that's how it is. Li Changsheng immediately understood. The spirit item nurtured under Mount Xianhuang was about to be born, but he did not expect it to attract so many people. As far as I know, there's a sect on Mount Xianhuang. With so many people heading to Mount Xianhuang, won't they have any objections? Before Li Changsheng left last time, he had asked Yao Fengshan to look after the treasure for him. Now that it had caused such a huge commotion, he was curious as to what Yao Fengshan would do. There is indeed a sect on Mount Xianhuang. In the past, it was under the control of the Mountain Viewing Tower's master. The Mountain Viewing Tower's master was a first-rate expert. If he was still alive, naturally no one would dare to casually snatch it from him. However, I heard that the Mountain Viewing Tower's master is already dead, and his disciple, Yao Fengshan, is in charge of Mount Xianhuang. That Yao Fengshan is just a woman. Even if she has some strength, how could she stop this bustling crowd of experts? I heard that because she refused to go up the mountain with a few sects, she was severely injured. I don't know what happened after that, but if she insisted on stopping them, it's very likely that she wouldn't even be able to keep her life. So that's the case. Li Changxing's eyes flashed with coldness, but he didn't say anything. Since a treasure has been unearthed on Mount Xianhuang, I also want to go take a look. After Li Changsheng finished speaking, Han Tianlong and Han Yuma revealed joyful expressions. Then why don't we go together? Han Tianlong suggested. Okay. Li Changxing nodded. Benefactor, I didn't expect your strength to be so high. I really admire you. Han Yuma looked at Li Changsheng with stars in her eyes. She had also cultivated martial arts since she was young. When facing the Seven Mysteries sect's Grand Enforcer Yang Zheng, she didn't even have the courage to resist. However, that Yang Zheng couldn't even withstand a single blow from Li Changsheng. Don't call me Benefactor. Just call me Li Changsheng or Mr. Li. Li Changsheng then went with the father and daughter pair. On the second day, they were only a few dozen li away from Mount Xianhuang. The group of four had just found a place to rest when they suddenly heard the sound of something breaking through the air. Han Tianlong's face revealed a trace of panic. Mr. Li, it's not good. The people from the Seven Mysteries sect are here. The Seven Mysteries sect was considered a famous sect in the northern lands. They had a Vajra realm sect master overseeing the sect. Only experts like the Mountain Viewing Tower's master could suppress them. Later on, the Mountain Viewing Tower's master died at the hands of Li Changsheng, and the Seven Mysteries sect became a powerhouse in the northern lands. In the distance, several figures broke through the air. To be able to fly, they must have reached the Xiantian realm. Han Tianlong and Han Yuma's faces completely changed. Xiantian realm experts were already considered experts in the cultivation world. However, Li Changxing's eyes were filled with disdain. What flying? It was just a short flight. Moreover, they had borrowed the power of a magic tool. Four old men landed not far away, blocking Li Changxing's path. Half a minute later, several figures caught up, gasping for breath. Among them was the Seven Mysteries sect's great enforcer, Yang Zheng. For elders, it's those people in front. The middle-aged man is Han Tianlong. He obtained the Flood Dragon Crouching Flame diagram from the Secret Realm. That brat is his accomplice. He was the one who injured me. Yang Zheng pointed at Li Changxing's group and loudly complained. Among the four people, a white-haired old man with a dignified expression stepped forward. You dare to injure the Seven Mysteries sect's great enforcer? Kneel down and apologize. Li Changsheng didn't respond to the old man's words. At this time, Yang Zheng shouted, Brat, you think you'll be fine just because you're a coward? You dared to make a move against me. Next year, today will be the anniversary of your death. Is that so? I'm not a coward. I'm afraid that next year, today won't be the anniversary of my death. Instead, it will be the anniversary of your death. After Li Changsheng finished speaking, he suddenly raised his hand. Yang Zheng, who was tens of meters away, suddenly lost control of his body. It was as if there was a rope tied around his neck. He directly floated towards Li Changxing's position. What are you doing? Yang Zheng's face suddenly revealed a look of fear. For elders, save me. Of course, the expressions of the elders also changed. Just as they were about to intervene, they saw that Yang Zheng had already been pulled in front of Li Changsheng. As Li Changsheng slowly raised his hand, Yang Zheng's entire body seemed to be suspended by an invisible force. His feet were off the ground, and his cheeks flushed red. "How dare you? Release Enforcer Yang!" the white-haired old man roared. However, in the next moment, a "Kacha" sound was heard. Yang Zheng's head suddenly fell limply to the ground. His neck had been broken by Li Changsheng. Li Changsheng lightly flung Yang Zheng's body in the direction of the elders of the Seven Mysteries sect. With a putong sound, Yang Zheng's body fell to the ground, stirring up a cloud of dust. A disciple hurriedly went forward to help Yang Zheng's body up. However, his face instantly changed, and he stuttered, "Enforcer Yang is dead." "What?" The four elders all stared with wide eyes. Even Han Tianlong and his daughter almost cried out in alarm. Li Changsheng actually killed Yang Zheng in front of the four elders of the Seven Mysteries sect. He simply did not put the Seven Mysteries sect in his eyes. Chapter 665. Everyone stared blankly at Li Changsheng. Yang Zheng was the Seven Mysteries sect's great enforcer, yet he was killed just like that. This meant that the Seven Mysteries sect would not rest until one of them was dead. "Brat, you killed our Seven Mysteries sect's great enforcer. Do you think that our Seven Mysteries sect is weak?" The white-haired Seven Mysteries sect elder gnashed his teeth as he spoke. If Li Changsheng had not killed Yang Zheng, they might have been afraid of Li Changsheng's strength and would have chosen another way to resolve the dispute. After all, no one wanted to create a strong enemy for their own sect. Furthermore, Li Changsheng was so young. He might have a powerful senior or even a powerful sect behind him. However, Li Changsheng had killed in front of everyone. Even if it was not for the sake of Yang Zheng, the Seven Mysteries sect's reputation, they would not rest until one of them was dead. There was no possibility of reconciliation. It's just a small Seven Mysteries sect. If you're not convinced, you can come at me. I don't mind killing a few more people. Arrogant. The white-haired elder's body emitted a murderous aura, and a powerful aura spread out like a tsunami. The other party was at the peak of the Xiantian realm, and his aura had reached a terrifying level. Han Tianlong and Han Yuma's expressions changed. Although Li Changsheng was powerful, he was too young. In their opinion, he was at the peak of the Xiantian realm at most. However, the other party had four elders. Although Li Changsheng had such strength at such a young age, perhaps his background was not ordinary. The Seven Mysteries sect's people were completely enraged. No matter what background Li Changsheng had, distant water could not quench the present thirst. Furthermore, the Seven Mysteries sect master was a Vajra realm master. In the entire northern lands, there were not many people who could contend against him. Even if Li Changsheng Sr. appeared, they might not be able to save him. At this moment, facing the Seven Mysteries sect's elders who were filled with murderous intent, Li Changsheng only chuckled and shook his head. "Originally, I was too lazy to bicker with you. However, since you dare to kill me, don't blame me." Just as he finished speaking, Li Changsheng raised his finger and pointed it forward. A stream of energy flew out from his finger and rushed towards the white-haired elder of the Seven Mysteries sect. The white-haired elder wanted to stop him, but the expression on his face instantly froze. The next moment, his body fell straight to the ground, dead just like that. How is this possible? The other three elders were in disbelief. This young man was actually able to casually kill an elder who was already at the peak of the Xiantian realm. Even the Vajra realm sect master of the Seven Mysteries sect would not be able to do such a thing. It couldn't be that this young man was actually a finger-profound realm expert, right? When this thought arose, fear appeared on the faces of the three elders. The reason why the Seven Mysteries sect was able to strut around was because they had a Vajra realm sect master. A Vajra realm sect master was already very impressive, but the other party was most likely a profound realm sect master. Do you three want to live or die? Li Changsheng's cold gaze swept over the three Seven Mysteries sect elders, causing their bodies to tremble in fear. "Sir, we were wrong." The three elders were completely unable to be unyielding. In front of the seven mysteries sect disciples, they lower their heads. "Don't you think it's too late to lower your heads now?" Li Changsheng coldly snorted, scaring the three enforcers so much that their legs went soft. "Each of you, break an arm, then scram." Originally, Li Changsheng was too lazy to bother with them. However, the three of them had the intention to kill him, so he had to give them some punishment. The three elders' faces showed signs of struggle. They were only at the Xiantian realm. Although they could still reattach their arms, their bodies were already incomplete. This would greatly affect their future cultivation. "If you don't want to then die." Li Changsheng did not give them much time to think. Not killing them was already a great kindness from Li Changsheng. "Fine, we admit defeat." One of the elders pulled out his saber and ruthlessly chopped off his own arm. Pucci, blood flowed like a river. His face was pale. He picked up his arm from the ground, turned around, and went back the way he came. Even his companions did not wait for him. Seeing such a bloody scene, the surrounding people's faces were somewhat ugly. Even Han Tianlong and Han Yuma, who had a grudge against the Seven Mysteries sect, could not bear to look at it. However, Li Changxing's face was expressionless from the beginning to the end. Seeing that their companion had already cut off his arm, the other two elders were not as decisive. They hesitated, unable to kill themselves. The impatient Li Changsheng's eyes finally revealed traces of murderous intent. Both of them could feel the murderous intent emanating from Li Changsheng's body. The two of them finally made up their minds to cut off Li Changsheng's arm. Finally, the Seven Mysteries sect people came over aggressively and fled in defeat. "Mr. Li is really amazing." Han Tianlong took the initiative to talk to Li Changsheng, but his eyes were clearly filled with fear. As for Han Yuma, her entire face was pale. Although she was born in a family of cultivators, due to her limited age, she still could not bear to see such a bloody scene. Tong Xian was even more unbearable. He was so scared that he stood there dazed. When Li Changsheng and the others resumed their journey, Tong Xian was still like a walking corpse. Regarding this, Changsheng only held his hand and walked. He did not try to enlighten him or anything. As long as one was a normal person, seeing a dead person for the first time was inevitable. Many things require a process of getting used to. Xianwang Mountain is not far ahead. I heard that more than 100 sects have gathered at Xianwang Mountain. It is so crowded that not even a drop of water can trickle through. Only first-rate sects can go to the top of the mountain. Second-rate and third-rate sects can only camp at the foot of the mountain. Then is your sect a first-rate or second-rate sect? Li Changsheng looked at Han Tianlong. Along the way, Han Tianlong would occasionally mention his sect's elders, but he had never introduced his sect to Li Changsheng. "Our sect is called the Stargazing Pavilion. Like the Seven Mysteries sect, it is considered a major cultivation sect in the north. The pavilion master of the Stargazing Pavilion is also a Vajra realm expert, and he is in the late stage of the Vajra realm. Therefore, the Seven Mysteries sect has been chasing after me along the way, afraid that I would meet their elders. If my sect knew that the Seven Mysteries sect dared to kill me, they would have to bear the wrath of the Stargazing Pavilion. It seems that I can bask in the glory of the Stargazing Pavilion. In a while, I and my disciple can directly go to the top of Xianhuang Mountain. We don't have to wait at the foot of the mountain like the other small sections." Li Changsheng stopped in front and looked around. He saw densely packed tents and cultivators coming and going. He could also see faint smoke rising from kitchen chimneys. It was a very unique scene. "Mr. Li, this..." Hearing Li Changsheng's words, Han Tianlong's face revealed a difficult expression. "To be honest, I am only a small steward in the sect. My daughter is still an outer sect disciple. I am afraid that the sect's elders will not allow me to bring an outsider up." "So that's the case." Hearing Han Tianlong's words, Li Changsheng smiled and didn't say anything. Originally, he wanted to blend in with the Stargazing Pavilion's group and go up to see the situation. Now, it seemed that it was impossible. "Dad, I see a few elders from the sect. They should be looking for us. At this moment, Han Yuma suddenly shouted with joy. Sure enough, a group of people walked over from afar. Chapter 666. A group of people, led by an old man, walked over. Greetings, Elder Yu. Han Tianlong and Han Yuma hurriedly stepped forward and bowed. Tianlong, I heard that you obtained the demon painting of the flood dragon Crouching Flame from the secret territory. I have already reported this matter to the sect master. When the time comes, you will be promoted to the position of guardian, and your daughter will also be promoted to the position of core disciple. Really? Han Tianlong's face was filled with excitement. The stargazing pavilion has always been fair in its rewards and punishments. As long as you serve the stargazing pavilion well, you and your daughter will not be mistreated. This subordinate understands. Han Tianlong's face was filled with respect. There is one more thing I would like to report to Elder Yu. What is it? Yu Jiang has said indifferently. With Han Tianlong's status, he was not qualified to speak to him. However, the demon painting of the flood dragon Crouching Flame was so important that even the sect master was overjoyed to hear about it. After I obtained the flood dragon subduing flame's demonic diagram, there were many sects that tried to assassinate me, especially the Seven Mysteries sect, who sent great protector Yang Zheng to intercept and kill me. Fortunately, Mr. Li came to my rescue and prevented them from killing me and robbing me of my treasure. Oh, is there such a thing? Yu Jiang frowned, but he still let out a sigh. The Seven Mysteries sect is really despicable. However, their strength is not inferior to our stargazing pavilion. They will definitely not admit it based on your words alone. If we go to them and demand an explanation, I'm afraid it will cause a dispute between the two sections. Are we just going to let it go like this? Han Yuma was somewhat unconvinced. The father and daughter had gone through many difficulties to escort the treasure to the sect. However, the elders of the sect had no intention of avenging them. Yuma, don't be rude to the sect master. Han Tianlong reprimanded his daughter. Don't mention anything about the Seven Mysteries sect again. Yu Jiang has said coldly. But you said that someone saved you from the hands of guardian Yang Zheng. Is it this little brother next to you? Yu Jianghe looked at Li Changsheng. At this moment, Li Changsheng felt a divine sense on his body, probing his cultivation. However, the other party had just reached the Vajra realm, so how could he detect anything? Sure enough, Yu Jianghe's eyes showed some surprise. However, there were many cultivation methods in the world that could prevent others from probing, so Yu Jianghe was soon relieved. It was this little brother who helped us. This little brother also came to Mount Xianhuang to watch the show. I wonder if he can come up the mountain with us. Although Han Tianlong had said that he did not have the qualifications to bring Li Changsheng up the mountain, but Li Changsheng had saved his and his daughter's lives, so he still asked the elders in the sect for permission. Originally, he was an outsider. According to the rules of our sect, he is not allowed. But since he saved you and your father, he is a friend of our stargazing pavilion. I will make an exception and take them up the mountain. Thank you, Elder Yu. Han Tianlong hurriedly cupped his fists in thanks. Many thanks, Elder Yu, Li Changsheng said with a smile. Even without the stargazing pavilion, no one could stop him from going to Mount Xianhuang. However, with so many sects gathered here, he didn't want to make a big fuss. With Yu Jianghe leading the way, the group smoothly arrived at the top of Mount Xianhuang. This time, in addition to Yu Jianghe, the Grand Elder of the Stargazing Pavilion, there was also a Supreme Elder. In addition, there were many experts, true disciples, protectors, and so on. Clearly, they were determined to obtain the treasure from Mount Xianhuang. The people of the Stargazing Pavilion lived in a courtyard on Mount Xianhuang. The palaces on Mount Xianhuang had been divided among the various sections. Li Changsheng was assigned to a room, and a disciple was responsible for arranging food and lodging for him. I heard that this Mount Xianhuang used to be occupied by a sect. I wonder how the people of that sect are doing? Li Changsheng pretended to casually ask. The disciple chuckled. In the beginning, several sects wanted to go up the mountain, but they were all beaten to a pulp by her. However, she didn't recognize the situation clearly. Later on, several experts from other sects went up the mountain, and she even fought back, but was severely injured. Later on, she didn't dare to stop the other sect from going up the mountain, because she was the original master of Mount Xianwang. The treasure should belong to her, while the other sects were bandits. So she became the public enemy of all sections. After a discussion between several super sects, they finally decided to put her under house arrest, including all the disciples of Mount Xianwang. They will only be released once the ownership of the treasure is decided. So that's how it is. Li Changsheng was relieved to hear that Yao Fengchun was safe and sound. However, Yao Fengchun was the one protecting the treasure in the spirit vein. It was truly abominable for these people to take it by force. The treasure should be born in a few days. When the time comes, I'll settle the score with these sects after I get the treasure. After making up his mind, Li Changsheng decided to stay in his room and live a secluded life. These days, Han Yuma would come to Li Changsheng every day to chat and ask Li Changsheng questions about cultivation. Li Changsheng had a rather good impression of this little girl. Master, Big Sister Han, and Uncle Tianlong are here. Tong Xian opened the door and was pleasantly surprised. After all, he was a young man and was rather bored of staying in his room and facing Li Changsheng all day. Thus, he was especially happy whenever Han Yuma came. Mr. Li, I've been busy with sect matters these days and only remembered to visit my benefactor today. Please forgive me, Han Tianlong said loudly the moment he entered the room. He had just been promoted to guardian of the stargazing pavilion and had a lot of matters to attend to. Thus, he felt that he had neglected Li Changsheng. It's fine. Li Changsheng invited the two in. Han Tianlong wanted to say something, but hesitated. If there's anything you want to say, just say it. Li Changsheng held the teacup in his hand and looked out of the room. These days, strange phenomena occurred frequently, indicating that something was about to break out of the ground under Mount Xianwang. Mister, it's best if you don't go out for the next few days. You killed a guardian and an elder of the Seven Mysteries sect, and even injured 3 elders. The Seven Mysteries sect somehow found out that you're staying in the Stargazing Pavilion's base. In the past few days, a Grand Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect came to Mount Xianwang and threatened to seek revenge on Mister. That Grand Elder is already at the peak of the Vajra realm. Mister, you must be careful. If you leave the Stargazing Pavilion's base and get into a conflict with him, even the people of the Stargazing Pavilion would not want to offend him. Peak of the Vajra realm. Li Changsheng smiled. The meaning behind Han Tianlong's words was very simple. While Li Changsheng was in the Stargazing Pavilion's camp, the other party would not rush in to cause trouble for Li Changsheng in order to not provoke a conflict between the two sections. However, once Li Changsheng left, the Stargazing Pavilion would definitely not offend the Seven Mysteries sect for Li Changsheng. Chapter 667. All right, I understand. Li Changsheng nodded towards Han Tianlong. He only said this to reassure Han Tianlong. As for the Supreme Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect, he didn't care at all. Good. Han Tianlong let out a long sigh of relief. Along the way, he had come to understand Li Changsheng's character. On the surface, he appeared to be amiable and approachable, but deep down, he was arrogant. Li Changsheng didn't seem to care about the powerful forces in the eyes of others. Master, recently, I feel that every time I cultivate, my body will heat up. It's as if my entire body is wrapped in a furnace and feels warm. Tong Xian reported to Li Changsheng about the state of his cultivation. Li Changsheng heard this and placed his palm on Tong Xian's forehead. After carefully sensing for a while, he withdrew his hand and nodded. Not bad. You have officially entered the sect. If you cultivate well, you should be able to break through to the Vajra realm in 3 years. When Li Changsheng spoke, Han Tianlong and his daughter couldn't help but widen their eyes. Why did it seem as if the Vajra realm was as simple as eating and drinking to Li Changsheng? This was a little too exaggerated. Although they felt that Li Changsheng was bragging, they didn't show it on their faces. I heard that there is a young expert in the Stargazing Pavilion, so I came to pay him a visit. At this moment, the door to Li Changxing's courtyard suddenly opened. An old man walked in, surrounded by a few subordinates. The Seven Mysteries sect disciple who was in charge of Li Changxing's daily necessities had an anxious expression on his face. It was obvious that he wanted to stop the old man, but he couldn't. "Who are you?" Li Changxing furrowed his brows. He felt that this old man's strength wasn't low. "I am the Supreme Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect, Yang Hongba. The Seven Mysteries sect's great enforcer, Yang Zheng, is my nephew. I heard that he died at your hands. So it's the enforcer with the surname Yang. I have indeed killed him," Li Changxing said casually. Yang Hongba wasn't angry at all. Instead, he chuckled and said, "I heard that it wasn't just my nephew who lost an arm. The other elders of the Seven Mysteries sect also lost an arm. The great elder even died at your hands," Yang Hongba said as he stared at Li Changxing. "Surnamed Li, you are hiding under the protection of the Stargazing Pavilion. In order to prevent a fight between our two sects, it would be inappropriate for me to make a move against you here. However, as the Supreme Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect, whether it is for public or private reasons, I cannot allow you to get away scot-free. Since you were able to defeat several elders, it means that your strength is not ordinary. I want to challenge you. Do you dare to accept?" In a world of cultivation, in order to settle grudges, one side would issue a challenge to the other side and settle their grudges through a fair duel. No one could say anything about this. Of course, the letter of challenge had to be accepted by the other party. If the other party refused to accept the challenge, the letter of challenge would naturally be invalid. "Yang Hongba, you are the Grand Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect, a Vajra martial expert. Aren't you bullying the weak by challenging a young man?" Han Tianlong said in a loud voice. This was the Stargazing Pavilion's camp. Although Lu Hongba was in the Vajra realm, he did not dare to be too presumptuous. Although Li Changxing was strong, and Han Tianlong had seen it with his own eyes, Li Changxing was still too young. On the other hand, Yang Hongba had been famous in the northern lands for a long time. Han Tianlong did not think that Li Changxing could defeat Yang Hongba. "Surnamed Han, who do you think you are? How dare you shout at me?" Yang Hongba coldly shouted as he looked at Li Changxing. "Do you dare to accept my challenge? You must know that the Stargazing Pavilion can protect you for a while, but not forever. As long as you accept my challenge, I can guarantee that if you win, the matter of you killing a protector and an elder of the Seven Mysteries sect will be written off. I presume that you do not want to be hunted down by the Seven Mysteries sect forever, right?" Han Tianlong and his daughter anxiously looked at Li Changxing. They constantly signaled Li Changxing with their eyes, hinting that Li Changxing should not accept the challenge. Who knew that Li Changxing would turn a blind eye to their signals? He actually nodded and said, "All right, you can choose the time and place." Hearing Li Changxing agree, Han Tianlong could not help but beat his chest and stomp his feet. With an ugly expression, he said, "Benefactor, you are muddle-headed. Originally, as long as you stayed in the Stargazing Pavilion's camp, no one would dare to make a move against you. But now that you have accepted the challenge, even the people of the Stargazing Pavilion cannot protect you. It's fine. I killed a member of the Seven Mysteries sect. This grudge has to be settled. Instead of letting them chatter in front of me like flies every day, it is better to settle this once and for all." "Good. Surnamed Li, although we are enemies, I admire your courage. Let's set the date of the competition for tomorrow. I will wait for you at the peak of Mount Xianwang." "Okay." Li Changxing also nodded. Then, he said, "Can you leave now? You are not welcome in my courtyard." "Of course." Yang Hongba turned and left with his subordinates. After Yang Hongba and the others left, Han Tianlong sighed in Li Changxing's ear. He complained about Li Changxing's decision to accept Yang Hongba's challenge and even talked about Yang Hongba's deeds. In the end, he saw that Li Changxing did not listen to him at all. His words went in one ear and out the other. He could only sigh, shake his head, and leave. Li Changxing's ears finally quieted down. Not long after Han Tianlong and his daughter left, the earth suddenly trembled. It was clearly noon, But there was a strange phenomenon of burning clouds in the sky. The entire sky was dyed crimson, and the scene was extremely gorgeous. Li Changxing knew that it was time for the thing that was being nurtured under Mount Xianhuang to be born. He released his divine sense to explore the ground. The deeper he went, the denser the fire attribute spiritual energy became. When he reached the bottom of Mount Xianhuang, he saw a huge red serpent crawling in the Spirit Veins River, madly absorbing the surrounding spiritual energy. Li Changxing knew that this was the embryonic form of a fire dragon. When it grew dragon claws and horns and completely transformed into a divine dragon, its strength would be comparable to the legendary true immortals. As Li Changxing's divine sense approached, the serpent seemed to sense something. Its scales stood on end, and it wore a vigilant expression. Flames flickered in and out of its mouth. As expected of a connate divine artifact, it can sense my divine sense. Li Changxing was hesitating on whether to retreat and not disturb it, when a hexagonal astral formation came crashing down from above in an attempt to suppress the fire serpent. When the formation came crashing down, the serpent was thoroughly enraged. The underground fire vein surged violently. With a fierce roar, the serpent slammed into the astral formation and shattered it. However, the serpent's aura was clearly weakened. Not long after, another tremor came from above. This time, another strange formation had come crashing down. The serpent used the same method as before to break the formation, but its aura weakened again. These damned sects are secretly setting up formations to subdue the serpent, but they don't know that if this continues, the fire serpent's aura will continue to weaken. In the end, it will be seriously injured and its foundation will be damaged. Perhaps it will never be able to evolve into a true dragon. However, Li Changxing's divine sense was also present. He couldn't block these formations. When he retracted his divine sense, he opened a crack in the courtyard and entered the depths of the mountain. Chapter 668. He used the earth movement technique and arrived at the interior of Mount Xianhuang. It was a spacious space with a purple-red river exuding a scorching aura. Waves of brilliance surged within the river as pure fire elemental energy constantly spread out. Li Changxing faintly regretted not bringing Tong Xian with him. With his innate fire spirit body, he could cultivate at a tremendous pace here. Crimson waves of heat constantly assaulted Li Changxing, but Li Changxing's 10,008 pores breathed at the same time. Before the heat could change his body, it was completely absorbed and turned into surging origin chi that circulated within his body. There were also formations descending from above. These formations came in all shapes and sizes. Some of them were set up in similar ways, while others were thousands of miles apart. Li Changxing knew that it wasn't a single sect setting up the formations. These people didn't have the earth movement technique like Li Changxing, so they could only rely on formations to set up backups. The formations descended one after another, causing the interior of Mount Xianhuang to constantly tremble and rocks to fall. In response, Li Changxing waved his fist. Before each array could land, it was directly shattered by him. In the river, the Crimson Snake didn't let down its guard against Li Changxing just because Li Changxing helped it block the formations. Instead, its scales stood up as it glared at Li Changxing. As soon as Li Changxing came even a little closer, it would immediately attack. You really don't know what is good for you. Li Changxing coldly snorted. Another formation descended. He deliberately didn't block it, allowing the snake to suddenly smash through the formation, but at the same time, its aura weakened significantly. If I don't block the formations for you, you'll be born with a congenital deficiency and will forever remain as a snake. You won't have the fate of becoming a true dragon. Li Changxing coldly said. At this moment, a tender voice rang out. You're the same as those who set up the formations. You're also spying on my body. Why make yourself sound so righteous? The voice was crisp and clear, as if it had directly sounded in Li Changxing's mind. Only then did Li Changxing remember that the fire dragon had been nurtured under Mount Xianhuang for no less than 1,000 years. Over the past 1,000 years, groups of people had lived on the mountain. It had probably gained sentience long ago and was now even more intelligent than the average human. Oomph. I am indeed the same as them, but most of them want to capture you because of the treasures you have. For a god spirit like you have a lot of room for growth in the future. Those sects would rather kill the goose that lays the golden eggs than let you grow. If you're not controlled by them and take revenge on them, it will be a disaster for those sections. But I am different. If you recognize me as your master, I will not restrict your growth. Instead, I will help you achieve the body of a true dragon, so you should choose me. Li Changsheng said indifferently. Since the other party had quite a bit of intelligence, it was easy to deal with. What Li Changsheng feared the most was that the other party did not have any intelligence and only knew how to kill blindly. Li Changsheng had to take action and use force to suppress the other party. You have a glib tongue. What good things do you humans have? Help me achieve the body of a true dragon? Who do you think you are? You're just trying to trick me into submitting with your flowery words and then kill me? Since I said so, I naturally have confidence. Moreover, you have no choice. Although you are a god spirit, you should also know how many people in the outside world are spying on you. Enough ants can bite an elephant to death. The moment you are born, you will be besieged from all sides. Even if you can fight your way out of the encirclement with your strength, engaging in a fierce battle as soon as you are born will definitely injure your origin chi. In the future, you will never have any hope of achieving the body of a true dragon. Even so, I won't submit to you. The serpent sneered. Hearing the other party's words, Li Changsheng frowned. He had wasted his breath talking so much because he saw that the other party had gained sentience and wanted to win him over with virtue. He did not expect that the other party had no intention of subduing him at all. Since you're so stubborn, I'll have to show you what I can do. With that, Li Changsheng waved his hand and shattered the two formations that fell down. Then he transformed the giant palm print and directly hit the serpent in the river. The serpent's scales stood up, and it let out a sharp sound. It opened its mouth and spat a ball of flame at Li Changsheng. However, as soon as the flame got close to Li Changsheng's palm, it was absorbed and disappeared without a trace. The next moment, the huge palm directly grabbed the serpent's vital point. No matter how the serpent struggled, it could not break free. How can you be so powerful? The serpent's voice was already tinged with panic. It had been born in this spirit vein and was a heavenly divine being. Although it had yet to be formally born, the power in its body was already terrifying. This was where its confidence came from. Despite knowing that there were so many experts on Mount Xianhuang attacking it, it was still fearless. But when Li Changsheng's palm descended, it felt powerless. You should be officially born in 3 days. If you don't want me to skin you alive and refine your soul into an artifact, you'd better obediently submit to me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Li Changsheng's voice was as harsh as an aluminum bell, imbued with the power of sound. The serpent's eyes struggled for a moment before it finally lowered its head. I'm willing to submit to you. Call me master, Li Changsheng sternly said. He knew that even though this was a heavenly divine being, it was still just a beast. This sort of thing feared authority and not virtue. If he did not establish a powerful dignity, it might betray him at any moment. You're going too far. The serpent suddenly raised its head, its eyes filled with killing intent. You really are a beast. Li Changsheng coldly snorted and flicked the serpent's head with a finger. Bang! A light flick sent the serpent back into the spirit vein. Its body constantly twitched, and many of its scales bled as its flesh was torn open. A second later, Li Changsheng reached into the spirit vein again and captured the serpent. Are you convinced now? This time, the serpent no longer dared to throw a tantrum. It obediently lowered its head, brimming with subservience. At this time, more formations fell from the sky. Li Changsheng shattered them one by one with a wave of his hand. The people from these sects are really annoying. This kind of continuous formation will definitely damage your Xiantian Yuan Qi. Let me, your master, protect you. As he spoke, Li Changsheng dispersed the colossal palm print and sat cross-legged on the stone. Every time a formation fell, he would break it with a wave of his hand. The serpent finally understood Li Changsheng's methods. It no longer dared to throw a tantrum. It obediently lay dormant in the spirit vein, absorbing the spiritual qi in the spirit vein to recover from the injuries that Li Changsheng had inflicted on it. Fortunately, Li Changsheng's attacks were controlled and only caused some superficial wounds. Even so, the serpent was still traumatized. Chapter 669. Today was the day of a duel between the Seven Mysteries sect's supreme Elder Yang Hongba and Li Changsheng. No one knew who had spread the news. The disciples of the Seven Mysteries sect, the Stargazing Pavilion, and the other sects all came to watch the show. Even the elders of the sects were paying attention to this matter. At 10 o'clock in the morning, thousands of people had gathered at the peak of the mysterious Yellow Mountain. Everyone knew that once the treasure appeared in the Xianhuang Mountain, there would be a chaotic battle. Everyone would fight over the divine object. However, before the treasure appeared, everyone was accumulating their strength. These few days, everyone had become more and more depressed. This duel could be considered as a form of relaxation in this stressful environment. I heard that the Supreme Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect is fighting a young disciple from the Stargazing Pavilion. He is only in his 20s. Is this true? Some people heard the commotion and came to watch. They did not know the real reason for the duel. He is not a disciple of the Gazing Star Pavilion, but he has some friendly relations with the people of the Gazing Star Pavilion. I heard that this young man is extraordinary. A protector and an elder of the Seven Mysteries sect died at his hands. Otherwise, how could a grand elder of the Seven Mysteries sect personally challenge him? Then there will be a show to watch. Yes, look, Elder Yang is here. A commotion came from the crowd. Yang Hongba strode over, surrounded by the disciples and protectors of the Seven Mysteries sect. Greetings, Elder Yang. Greetings, Elder Yang. Most of the people who came to watch the show were young disciples. The older generation all had their own methods and stood at a distance to watch the duel. The Seven Mysteries sect had a very high status in the northern cultivation world. Especially for a Vudra realm martial artist like Yang Hongba, no one dared to slight him. Greetings, everyone. Greetings, everyone. Yang Hongba was in high spirits. An elder and a protector of the Seven Mysteries sect died at the hands of Li Changsheng. As the Supreme Elder, he naturally wanted to avenge them. Most importantly, this matter concerned the reputation of the Seven Mysteries sect. Before this, he had ordered his disciples to wantonly spread the news of his duel with Li Changsheng, saying that Li Changsheng was a super genius. After all, he was a dignified grand elder with such a high seniority. If he lost to a young man in a duel, it would be incomparably shameful. Even if he won, it would still be shameful. However, if he were to describe his opponent as a super genius, then it would be a completely different story. As long as he won, not only would the Seven Mysteries sect's name be spread far and wide, his own reputation would also rise to a whole new level. After Yang Hongba appeared, he walked to a huge rock and placed his hands behind his back. He quietly looked at the sea of clouds at the foot of the mountain. He had the demeanor of a master. Elder Yang is truly an immortal. That's right. According to my master, Elder Yang was a distinguished person when he was young. Even though he's old, he's still as elegant as ever. Yang Hongba quietly looked at the scenery at the top of the mountain. Every word of the people around him fell into his ears. Although there was no expression on his face, he was very proud of himself. Although I haven't been in Jianghu for many years, there are still legends about me. Time passed, and in the blink of an eye, 2 hours had passed. The people who had been patiently waiting finally became restless. Why hasn't that Li Changsheng appeared yet? Don't tell me he doesn't dare to come. What a coward. Yang Hongba, who was standing on top of the huge rock, frowned. He and Li Changsheng had agreed to have a duel here today, but they didn't mention a time. Could it be that I'm too early? Yang Hongba's face was somewhat ugly. The afternoon sun was somewhat vicious. Even an expert like Yang Hongba had sweat on his head. Those disciples with lower cultivations were even more bitter. However, in order to maintain his immortal-like image, Yang Hongba still stood there quietly. 1 hour, 2 hours. Time passed by quickly. It was already 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The people looked around, but they still couldn't see Li Changxing's shadow. This time, even Yang Hongba couldn't remain calm. This was because if Li Changxing still didn't appear, the sky would turn dark. The sky was dark, and the sun was setting in the west. The sky was filled with burning clouds, and Yang Hongba's cheeks were bright red. The spectators, who were originally in high spirits, had already found a place to sit down. When the sun had completely set in the west, Yang Hongba finally couldn't help but turn around. His face was full of coldness. "Good. Li Changxing, you dare to stand me up. You and I are irreconcilable." Yang Hongba waved his hand and smashed the blue stone next to him into pieces. Then he angrily flicked his sleeves and left. This Li Changxing is really too unreliable. Since he doesn't dare to accept the challenge, then he shouldn't accept it. He wouldn't deliberately stand Yang Hongba up and play with this supreme elder, right? This is too despicable. Elder Yang has been waiting for a whole day. Countless voices were heard. Although Yang Hongba had already reached the top of the mountain path, his hearing was too sensitive for an expert of his level. Those words still clearly entered his ears, causing his cheeks to become somewhat distorted. "Martial uncle." A disciple followed behind Yang Hongba. Just as he was about to say something, Yang Hongba waved his sleeve and interrupted him. He coldly snorted and said, "Follow me to the side courtyard of the stargazing pavilion. This old man will personally break Li Changxing's neck." "Martial uncle, you must not let anger get to your head. The reason Li Changxing is so fearless is because he is hiding in the courtyard of the stargazing pavilion. If martial uncle forcefully takes action there, even if the people of the stargazing pavilion are unwilling to offend our 7 mysteries sect, I'm afraid that the experts of the stargazing pavilion will have no choice but to protect their reputation. The divine object is about to appear. If we have a conflict with the stargazing pavilion at this time, then when the time comes to compete for the treasure, we will be in a passive position. Martial uncle, please consider the big picture. The big picture, the big picture. I was tricked by that brat. Do you want me to pretend that nothing happened?" Yang Hongba's eyes widened, revealing the anger in his heart. He had thought of many possible outcomes. He could defeat Li Changxing, and the elders of the sect behind Li Changxing would step in, or the people of the stargazing pavilion would step in to help Li Changxing fight against him. For this, he had already discussed it with several experts of the sect and made a foolproof plan. However, he did not think that Li Changxing would actually dare to trick him and not show up at all. He had waited from morning until night like an idiot. He was afraid that he would become a laughingstock tomorrow. Although many people would laugh at Li Changxing for being a coward and not daring to accept the challenge, there would also be a large number of people who would regard him as a joke. For Yang Hongba, who had always cared about his reputation, this was simply unbearable. "Martial uncle, when the treasure appears, the various sects will definitely fight. At that time, will we still have to worry about not having an opportunity to deal with Li Changxing?" That disciple advised. Phew! Yang Hongba let out a long breath and suppressed the anger in his heart. His eyes flickered with a cold light. "I will definitely kill Li Changxing. Definitely." Chapter 670. For the past 3 days, Li Changxing had stayed in the spirit vein to protect the serpent that was about to be born. During this period, he had broken countless arrays. Today, he had finally completed his task, and the day of the serpent's birth had arrived. You should be able to absorb all the spirit chi in the underground in a few hours. It's time for you to leave this spirit vein. Li Changxing finished speaking to the serpent and stepped out, leaving the spirit vein and returning to the courtyard. As soon as he appeared, he saw his disciple, Tong Xian, clutching his swollen face. "What's wrong with your face?" Li Changxing asked. Tong Xian's body trembled, and then his eyes revealed a look of surprise. Master, you're back. I'm asking you, what's wrong with your face? Li Changxing's voice was somewhat cold. Could it be that during the 3 days that he was away, someone bullied his disciple? After being questioned by Li Changsheng, Tong Xian suddenly felt wronged, and tears welled up in his eyes. After all, he was only a teenager and could not hide his feelings. Nothing, nothing. He lowered his head. I'll let you speak. Li Changxing's voice became colder and colder. It's like this, Tong Xian said hesitantly. Previously, you agreed to fight with the Supreme Elder of the Seven Mysteries sect, Yang Hongba. Because you did not show up, the Stargazing Pavilion was afraid that the Seven Mysteries sect would take revenge on you, so they wanted to drive us out of this courtyard. Because Master was not here, they vented their anger on me. Fortunately, Sister Han and Uncle Han interceded for me, so they did not do anything extreme. However, the disciple who was supposed to serve us did not appear since yesterday. There was no food in the house, so I went to find Sister Han and asked her to help me find something to eat. Unexpectedly, I met the disciples of the Stargazing Pavilion on the way. They laughed at me and insulted Master, so I fought with them. In the end, you were beaten? Li Changsheng walked in front of Tong Xian and looked at his swollen face. Li Changsheng could clearly see that Tong Xian's wounds were being healed by spiritual energy. It would probably take less than half an hour for the swelling to subside. He could also see that Tong Xian's previous injuries were definitely more serious. Because of the spiritual energy, Li Changsheng's current appearance was much better. Let's go. The Stargazing Pavilion has gone too far. Master will help you. With that, Li Changsheng pulled Tong Xian out of the courtyard. However, before he could leave, the courtyard's door was kicked open with a bang. A middle-aged man aggressively walked in, followed by a group of disciples of the Stargazing Pavilion. Li Changsheng, as expected, you were hiding in the courtyard. Your disciple even said that you weren't around recently. You coward. If you don't have the guts, then don't provoke the Seven Mysteries sect. If you provoke the Seven Mysteries sect and don't dare to accept the challenge, then the Seven Mysteries sect will hold a grudge against my Stargazing Pavilion. Now, I'm going to kick you out of this courtyard and tell the people of the Seven Mysteries sect that you have nothing to do with my Stargazing Pavilion. Immediately, the man's words were righteous, and his expression was full of arrogance. Who are you? Why do you have to drive me out? This courtyard was arranged for us by your sect's elder Yu Jianghe. What? Is this how the Stargazing Pavilion treats your benefactor? Benefactor? You are not worthy. Sure enough, like teacher, like disciple. Your disciple was very stubborn, and in the end, he was taught a lesson by my disciple. You are the same as your disciple. If you don't move out of this courtyard now, then I will teach you a lesson too. You mean it was your disciple who beat my disciple? Li Changxing's eyes flashed with coldness. That's right. If you don't move out, then I will beat you too. Haha. First of all, this courtyard is not the courtyard of the Stargazing Pavilion, but the courtyard of the Xianwang Mountain. The Stargazing Pavilion forcibly occupied it, so you have no right to ask me to leave. Second, you beat my disciple. I originally wanted to find you, but since you came knocking on my door, then don't blame me for being rude. Li Changsheng coldly snorted and took a step forward. A fierce aura was brewing in his body. Huh, how arrogant. The man pulled out the sword in his hand. Master Lu, don't be impulsive. At this time, two figures rushed in. It was Han Tianlong and Han Yuma, father and daughter. Master Lu, Mr. Li saved our lives. He is the benefactor of the Stargazing Pavilion. How can you drive them away? In the future, people will say that the Stargazing Pavilion repaid kindness with enmity. Get lost. The middle-aged man pushed Han Tianlong to the side. It's all because of you that the one surnamed Han ended up living in this remote courtyard, causing others to think that he was a member of my Stargazing Pavilion. Because of that, he provoked the Seven Mysteries sect. I'll settle this matter with you in the future. Today, I'll deal with this arrogant person who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Elder Lu raised the sword in his hand, and his aura locked onto Li Changsheng. Master Lu, don't be impulsive. Regardless of whether what you did was right or wrong, Mr. Li can easily defeat the 5 elders of the 7 mysteries sect. You will only bring shame to yourself. Nonsense, Elder Lu snorted coldly. When someone told me that he defeated the 5 elders of the 7 mysteries sect, I did not believe it. He is so young. Do you think he started cultivating when he was in his mother's womb? Even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb, it is impossible for him to have such high achievements. Moreover, he did not even dare to accept the challenge of the supreme elders of the 7 mysteries sect. Such a cowardly person is enough to prove that he has always been pretending. Today, I will expose his true colors. After speaking, Elder Lu waved his sword, and a sharp crescent formed, slashing towards Li Changsheng. Sword Chi. The peak of the Xiantian realm is close to the Vajra realm. No wonder he dares to fight with me. Li Changsheng smiled and shook his head. Li Changsheng saved Han Yuma and his daughter, and the stargazing pavilion was indebted to him. However, the stargazing pavilion didn't know how to be grateful. This was fine, especially this Elder Lu. His disciple beat Tong Xian, but he didn't teach his disciple a lesson. Instead, he supported his disciple and even drove Li Changsheng away. This made Li Changsheng's good impression of the stargazing pavilion completely ruined. Since you are so heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. In the face of the sword light, Li Changsheng's face did not change much. When the sword light was close to his head, he lightly waved his palm, and the sword light disappeared into thin air. How could this be? Elder Lu's face was filled with disbelief. However, Li Changsheng did not give him too much time to be surprised. Immediately after, his figure turned into a shadow and appeared beside Elder Lu. Elder Lu once again brandished his sword, but with a flick of Li Changsheng's finger, the divine weapon refined for meteorites from outer space instantly broke into several pieces. In the next moment, Li Changsheng stretched out his hand and grabbed Elder Lu's neck with lightning speed, lifting him up into the air. Elder Lu's face finally revealed a look of fear because he found that the true essence in his body was imprisoned at this moment. He was like a piece of wood, waiting to be slaughtered. Chapter 671. Mr. Li, please have mercy. A loud shout was heard. A figure approached from afar and quickly appeared in the courtyard. Yu Jianghe. It was the stargazing pavilion elder who helped Li Changsheng arrange this courtyard. At this moment, he appeared anxiously. Elder Lu didn't mean to offend you. Mr. Li, please have mercy on him. Yu Jianghe appeared and tried to persuade Li Changsheng earnestly. Ha! He slashed me with his sword and said he didn't mean to offend me. Are you waiting for me to be killed by him? Do you think it's okay for him to say sorry? Li Changsheng's hand slowly tightened. Elder Lu's cheeks were red and his eyes began to bulge out due to suffocation. Mr. Li, you have to think twice before you act. Elder Lu is an important figure in the stargazing pavilion, and there are many experts in the stargazing pavilion. Please don't make a mistake. Are you threatening me? Li Changsheng sneered. I've never been threatened. As soon as he finished speaking, Li Changsheng suddenly let go of his hand and then slapped Elder Lu's chest. Crack! With the sound of bones breaking, Elder Lu was sent flying backward, smashing a hole in the wall of the courtyard and falling to the ground. A large part of his chest had caved in, and he kept coughing out blood. He struggled to get up from the ground, and his eyes were filled with hatred. The surrounding people widened their eyes. They didn't expect Li Changsheng to really dare to attack Elder Lu. After all, Elder Lu had the entire stargazing pavilion behind him. Elder Lu, are you okay? Yu Jianghe, who came to his senses, hurried over to support Elder Lu. However, Elder Lu paid no attention to Yu Jianghe at all and kept his eyes fixed on Li Changsheng. At this time, the movement here attracted many people's attention. Several figures rushed in. After seeing the injured Elder Lu, they all stared at Li Changsheng with murderous intent. How dare you? How dare you hurt Elder Lu? Die! Just as these people were about to make a move, Elder Lu suddenly said, Don't make a move. I underestimated him just now. That's why he had an opportunity to take advantage of. As he spoke, he raised his hand and took out a large square seal. The seal expanded in the wind and became 10 feet in size. Elder Lu, please stop in time. Don't let the misunderstanding deepen. At this moment, Han Tianlong stepped forward anxiously. On one side was his sect, and on the other side was his benefactor. The two of them becoming mortal enemies was definitely not something he was willing to see. Didn't you see him pinching my neck and injuring me? If I don't kill him, how can I walk in this world in the future? Moreover, this person saved you and your daughter. I think he has a plan. He only wants to infiltrate the stargazing pavilion. Elder Lu, I think you should calm down a little. The reason why things have developed to this point is entirely because your disciple injured Tong Xian first, and you came to denounce him without any reason. Moreover, Mr. Li was holding your neck just now. He could have killed you on the spot. He only severely injured you. Mr. Li showed mercy. Nonsense! Elder Lu shouted loudly. He is clearly fearful of the strength of the stargazing pavilion and didn't dare to kill me. Otherwise, why would he show mercy? Han Tianlong, get out of the way immediately. Otherwise, once my seal smashes down, you will die together with him. Elder Lu, you can't do this. Han Tianlong's face was filled with anxiety. Get out of the way. Let him come. At this moment, Li Changsheng spoke nonchalantly. I can't. Han Tianlong shook his head. Elder Lu, this seal is his famous Dharma artifact. He obtained it from an ancient relic. It is extremely powerful. Even a Vajra realm martial expert can't withstand it. It's fine. Get out of the way. Since you are willing to stand out now, I didn't save you in vain. It's just a small seal. I don't care about it. This, Han Tianlong was struggling as he looked at Elder Lu again. Elder Lu, can't we sit down and have a good talk to resolve this misunderstanding? Why do we have to fight and kill? Elder Lu shook his head. No, I must kill this kid today. Whoever stops me will be my enemy. Han Tianlong looked at Li Changsheng again. Li Changsheng shook his head resolutely. He didn't say a word, but he had already expressed his attitude. Sigh. Han Tianlong sighed. He knew that he couldn't stop the two of them. He had no choice but to move out of the way. The moment Han Tianlong moved out of the way, Elder Lu's eyes revealed a sinister look. The seal whizzed towards Li Changsheng. After all, Han Tianlong was a disciple of the Stargazing Pavilion. Furthermore, he had just made a great contribution to the Stargazing Pavilion. Even with Elder Lu's status, he would be punished if he hurt or killed Han Tianlong. Once Han Tianlong moved out of the way, he had no more scruples. On the other hand, the disciples of the Stargazing Pavilion were all excited. They were well aware of the power of the seal. This kid is too arrogant. He dares to take Martial Uncle Lu's iron seal head on. He will definitely be smashed into a meat patty. He clearly caught Martial Uncle Lu just now. If I were him, I would definitely not give Martial Uncle Lu a chance to turn the tables. After all, he is too young. Yu Jianghe didn't say anything. At that time, Li Changsheng had the upper hand, so he stepped out to stop him. However, it was different now. Elder Lu had taken out the iron seal. He knew the power of the iron seal. If Elder Lu could smash Li Changsheng to death, not only would he be able to avenge himself, he would also be able to answer to the Seven Mysteries sect. It could be said that he killed two birds with one stone. As for the matter of Li Changsheng saving Han Tianlong, the demon diagram of the flood dragon crouching flame was already in the hands of the Stargazing Pavilion. The outside world discussion couldn't really affect the Stargazing Pavilion. Furthermore, the Stargazing Pavilion could say that the matter of Li Changsheng saving Han Tianlong and Han Tianlong was false. Go to hell. Elder Lu's eyes were filled with arrogance as he continued to spit out blood. His hair fluttered in the wind, making him look particularly ferocious. To him, being choked by Li Changsheng was a great humiliation. As the iron seal fell, it brought with it a strong gust of wind. The dense heaven and earth origin qi condensed into a vortex, giving people a feeling of doomsday. The qi dynamic of the iron seal locked onto Li Changsheng and slowly fell. Its speed wasn't fast, but with every inch it fell, its power increased. When it was about to reach Li Changxing's head, the power it condensed was no weaker than a mountain. This was the power of the Iron Seal. Even a Vajra realm martial expert's physical body wouldn't be able to withstand the force of a huge mountain when crushed by it. The space around Li Changsheng was confined. Before the Iron Seal fell, the terrifying qi wave hit his body. Han Tianlong and his daughter couldn't help but turn their heads to the side. Tong Xian even cried out in alarm. As for the disciples of the stargazing pavilion, their eyes were filled with joy. Li Changsheng saved Han Tianlong and his daughter, so he should be the benefactor of the stargazing pavilion. However, at this moment, they couldn't wait for Li Changsheng to be smashed into pieces. Chapter 672. As Elder Lu's square-shaped iron seal fell, the entire world changed color. As the saying went, the iron seal had the power of a mountain. Go to hell. Elder Lu laughed out loud. He could almost see the scene of Li Changxing being crushed into a meat patty by the iron seal. However, in the face of such a mighty power of heaven and earth, Li Changsheng did not panic at all. Instead, he sneered as if he was looking at a clown. He quietly looked at the big seal falling from the sky. His expression did not change at all from the beginning to the end. The iron seal completely pressed down with a terrifying aura. At this moment, Li Changsheng raised his arm and slowly clenched his fist. Then, he gently punched toward the sky. He was like an ant facing a huge rock, making a helpless resistance. However, the moment the fist and the big seal collided, there was a sudden roar between heaven and earth. A fist force surged out crazily and hit the iron seal, tearing it into pieces. The earth was trembling and dust was rising everywhere. Everyone's eyes were wide open as they looked at this unbelievable scene. The treasure that Elder Lu had obtained from the primordial ruins was shattered by Li Changxing's punch just like that. Such an understatement, as if everything was only natural. However, the entire air froze. Everyone was dumbfounded. It was unbelievable, unimaginable, and even baffling, because this scene was too unbelievable, too absurd, and too strange. They could not figure it out. They could not understand it and felt like they were dreaming. In everyone's opinion, no matter how strong Li Changsheng was, he would have to hold back his hatred when facing the iron seal that was equivalent to a small mountain. No matter how many magical powers he had, his body would not be able to withstand such a powerful force. After all, it was equivalent to the power of a small mountain. However, this was the truth. Even if they did not believe it or accept it, so what? What other tricks do you have? You can use them all. Otherwise, you can only take them to your grave. Li Changsheng looked at Elder Lu quietly and hooked his finger. There was not much provocation. His eyes were indifferent from the beginning. This indifference was indifference, and even more disdain. I'll fight it out with you. Elder Lu could not bear such humiliation. He frantically circulated the vital essence in his body and used a set of mystic arts that he had never planned to use. He was clearly seriously injured, but the aura on his body instantly surged like a burning furnace. He struck out with his palm, and the surging yuan qi was like a river rushing towards Li Changsheng. However, when this crazy attack approached Li Changxing's body, it was as if a bucket of cold water was suddenly poured into a boiling pot. The violent yuan qi calmed down and then gradually dissipated. Everything was so strange. The place fell into absolute silence. Everyone felt that it was absurd. They couldn't believe that such a strange thing could happen. Han Tianlong and Han Yuma had completely turned into stone men. Tong Xian's eyes sparkled. Yu Jianghe, on the other hand, felt his scalp go numb because he understood what this meant. At this moment, Elder Lu felt powerless. Li Changsheng was like a mountain in front of him, making him feel small and insignificant. It was as if no matter what he did, he could not shake him. What other tricks do you have? Hurry up and use them. If not, you won't have the chance. Li Changxing's eyes were filled with contempt. He looked down at Elder Lu as if he was looking at an ant. In his eyes, no matter how many tricks Elder Lu had, they were laughable and not worthy of his serious treatment. What realm are you at? Elder Lu stared at Li Changsheng. He did not attack again because he had no more tricks up his sleeve. The square metal seal and the burning mystic arts were his biggest trump cards. However, his trump card were a joke in front of Li Changsheng. He had used all his strength to launch an attack, but in the end, it could not even scratch an itch. What could be more frustrating than this? It seems that you have exhausted all your tricks. Since you really don't have any more tricks, is it time for me to attack next? Li Changsheng rotated his neck and moved his wrists, making a few dodging movements like a secular boxer. If Li Changsheng had made such a move before, it would have only attracted ridicule. However, everyone's hearts were in their mouths now. Even if it was just a sneeze from an elephant, it would be a disaster for an ant. Now, Li Changsheng was the elephant, and Elder Lu was the ant. Mr. Li, it is indeed our stargazing pavilion's fault. It is also Elder Lu's fault. I apologize to you on his behalf. Please stop for the sake of the stargazing pavilion. At this moment, Yu Jianghe finally could not help but speak up. At that time, Li Changsheng stood there without moving, and Elder Lu could not hurt Li Changsheng. Once Li Changsheng counterattacked, it could be imagined that it would be a disaster for Elder Lu. It is impolite not to reciprocate. It is not my style to take a beating and not fight back. With that, Li Changsheng raised his fist without hesitation and then punched forward. As soon as this punch was thrown, a fist force rushed towards Elder Lu like a dragon baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was majestic and soul-stirring. Elder Lu's eyes revealed a look of fear. Now his physical condition was like a rotten sieve, with holes everywhere. Even when his body was at its peak, he could not block Li Changsheng's punch, let alone now. He was sure that if he was hit by this punch, even if he did not die, he would be seriously injured and damage his martial arts foundation. This was simply unimaginable for a warrior. However, how could Li Changsheng's punch be blocked so easily? Elder Yu and several disciples of the Stargazing Pavilion were just about to attack, but before they could get close to the fist force, they were blown back by the surging wind. Only then did they understand how powerful this punch was. Bang! There was a loud noise. Elder Lu's body disappeared in an instant. Then everyone saw that he crashed through 3 courtyard walls in succession, broke an ancient tree that was as thick as 5 or 6 people hugging it, and fell to the ground. One punch took away half of Elder Lu's life. Come back here. Li Changsheng then stomped his foot on the ground. An invisible ripple spread out. Several disciples of the Stargazing Pavilion could not dodge in time and were directly shaken to the ground, vomiting blood. Even Yu Jianghe's body swayed, and he barely stood still after using all his strength to block. The next moment, Elder Lu, who had fallen to the ground, was directly shaken up like a flea on a drum. Before he landed, Li Changsheng raised his hand, and an invisible force pulled him back by the neck to Li Changsheng's side, and he crawled under his feet. Bang! Li Changsheng raised his foot and stomped on Elder Lu's face, turning half of his face into a bloody mess. This is for my disciple, Child Xian. You have not taught your disciple well, and allowed your disciple to commit murder. You can't tell right from wrong. Chapter 673. The elder of the Star-Gazing Pavilion was trampled on and beaten to a pulp. He was too bold and didn't take the Star-Gazing Pavilion seriously at all. Then, Li Changsheng attacked again. This time, he stepped on Elder Lu's back. Bang! There was a crisp sound. Under Li Changsheng's foot, Elder Lu's body was directly split from the middle and blood spilled all over the ground. You've gone too far. At this time, Yu Jianghe finally reacted and shouted angrily. Do you want to fight with me? Li Changsheng cast a gloomy look over. As long as Yu Jianghe dared to attack, he would kill him without hesitation. Those who offend me must die. This was Li Changsheng's thought at this moment. The way the Star-Gazing Pavilion handled things really disappointed him. Tong Xian was beaten, Elder Lu was arrogant and despotic, and the Star-Gazing Pavilion couldn't distinguish right from wrong. This really infuriated Li Changsheng. A lion sometimes ignored a fly buzzing in its ear. It didn't mean that the lion was easy to bully, but that the lion disdained to get angry. Once it got angry, the fly would die without a doubt. Yu Jianghe stood where he was and didn't dare to attack. Although he wanted to avenge Elder Lu, he knew that he would definitely die if he attacked. Li Changsheng was too terrifying, like a devil. When he faced Li Changsheng, he had no confidence in his heart. He couldn't imagine that a young man could be so terrifying. If he had known that Li Changsheng was so terrifying, he would have dissuaded Elder Lu in advance. He would never have let Elder Lu lead a group of disciples here foolishly. Even at this time, Yu Jianghe didn't regret his decision, nor did he think that Elder Lu did anything wrong. What he regretted was that he didn't make a perfect plan and misjudged Li Changsheng's combat strength. What should I do? Just as Yu Jianghe was trying to think of a way out, rumble! Several air-piercing sounds were heard in the distance, and several figures were approaching quickly. The battle here alarmed the higher-ups of the star-gazing pavilion, and the reinforcements of the star-gazing pavilion were here. 4 figures took the lead and appeared in the courtyard first. When they saw Elder Lu's dismembered body, everyone went crazy. This person actually dares to be so impudent. I will kill you. Elder Lu, you died so miserably. Since the establishment of the stargazing pavilion, I have never suffered such a great humiliation. Elder Lu, we will definitely avenge you. Their eyes were filled with hatred as they stared at Li Changsheng. They wanted nothing more than to skin Li Changsheng alive and pull out his tendons. I'm Zhao Xiaojie, the master of the stargazing pavilion. Thief! How dare you commit murder in the territory of the stargazing pavilion? I'll tear you into pieces today. The purple-robed stargazing pavilion master, Zhao Xiaojie, wielded a wooden sword. The wooden sword was purple-red and emitted a scorching aura. Clearly, it was not an ordinary item. Other than the stargazing pavilion master Zhao Xiaojie, there was also the Grand Elder Ji Yuanjia, Zhong Penghai, and the Guardian King Si Jixing. These 4 people were all Vajra realm martial experts and were the 4 most powerful people in the stargazing pavilion. Pavilion Master, there is no need to talk nonsense with him. This person deserves to die. Let me take him down. The Guardian King Si Jixing had the most violent temper. The true qi in his body surged violently, and he could not help but want to take action. The other 2 Grand Elders, Ji Yuanjia and Zhong Penghai, stared at Li Changsheng. The position they occupied just happened to surround Li Changsheng to prevent Li Changsheng from taking the opportunity to escape. However, it was obvious that they were overthinking. Li Changsheng had no intention of escaping. He just looked at the people of the stargazing pavilion quietly with a calm face. It was as if he was not facing 4 Vajra realm martial experts, but some random cats and dogs. On the way here, I met a disciple of the stargazing pavilion who was in danger, so I helped him. At that time, Yu Jianghe agreed to let me stay in this courtyard. As for the grudge between me and the 7 Mysteries sect, in the end, it was caused by your stargazing pavilion. 3 days ago, I arranged a battle with the 7 Mysteries sect's Grand Elder, Yang Hongba, but due to some matters, I was unable to participate. When I returned to the courtyard, I saw my disciple's face was swollen. He also told me that someone did not give him food. Originally, the matter between disciples was like a fight between children. As long as the parents talked it out, it would be fine. However, that Elder Lu did not distinguish right from wrong and directly came to denounce us. He even wanted to expel us from this courtyard. Although this courtyard was allocated to me by your stargazing pavilion, in the end, this is the territory of the Xianhuang Mountain. I am staying in the courtyard of the Xianhuang Mountain. What right do you have to expel us? What's more, my disciple was beaten up, and others came to denounce us. Do you really think that I, Li Changsheng, am a pushover? Elder Lu thought that he had the support of the stargazing pavilion. He was not as good as me and deserved to die. If you want to avenge him, you can come at me. Don't blame me for being merciless. Just as Li Changsheng finished speaking, the Guardian King Si Jixing had already let out a wild laugh. Ha! How laughable! Why don't I take a look at yourself? How dare you threaten us? Who do you think you are? Are you referring to a profound realm expert? Si Jixing had long wanted to attack. When he heard Li Changxing's words, his face was filled with disdain. Li Changxing also laughed. There are always many people in this world. If you don't beat them up, they won't know how to act like a grandson. You just said that you want to teach me a lesson, right? Li Changxing asked indifferently. I'm not teaching you a lesson. I'm killing you. Si Jixing sneered. In his eyes, Li Changxing was already a turtle in a jar. There was only one way out. Is that so? Since you want to kill me, then I'll have to kill you first. As soon as Li Changxing finished speaking, he suddenly raised his palm and slapped at Si Jixing. It was fine if he did not make a move, but once he did, it was like a thunderbolt. A powerful aura locked on his Si Jixing, and his palm slapped down. No one would have thought that Li Changxing would dare to take the initiative to attack under such heavy encirclement. How dare you? How dare you? The stargazing pavilion master, Zhao Xiaojie, and the two supreme elders roared at the same time. However, with a loud bang, a powerful force crushed down. Before Si Jixing could react, he was slapped on the body. He knelt on the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Didn't you want to kill me just now? Why don't you fight back? Li Changxing was like a rogue fighting. He directly grabbed Si Jixing's hair, then raised his foot and kicked him hard in the face. 1 kick, 2 kicks, 3 kicks. After more than 10 kicks in a row, Si Jixing's face was badly mutilated. His nose was flattened, and many of his teeth had fallen out. However, Li Changxing did not stop. He directly pressed Si Jixing's head to the ground, raised his fist, and punched him again and again. It was very simple, but with every punch, Si Jixing's body would twitch. A few seconds later, he was completely delirious. He was completely dazed from the beating. He mumbled something, but he couldn't utter a complete sentence. Everyone in the field widened their eyes. This scene was too sudden. Chapter 674. Bastard! How dare you hurt someone in front of me? You are courting death. The stargazing pavilion master, Zhao Xiaojie, was furious. Everyone, let's attack together and crush this scoundrel. Zhao Xiaojie gave the order. Ji Yuanjia and Zhong Penghai rushed towards Li Changxing at the same time. Good timing. Li Changxing kicked Si Jixing to the side and faced Zhao Xiaojie and the other two. Boom! Li Changxing raised his palm and slammed it down. The violent spiritual power circulated in his hand as if a mountain was slamming down. Zhong Penghai, who was the first to rush up, was the first to collide with Li Changxing's palm. He spat out blood and fell to the ground, struggling. Zhao Xiaojie and Ji Yuanjia, who rushed up next, instantly stopped in their tracks. As a Grand Supreme Elder of the Stargazing Pavilion and a Vajra realm martial expert, Zhong Penghai was severely injured by Li Changxing so easily. This was simply too terrifying. However, even though they stopped attacking, Li Changxing didn't intend to let them go. Come here. Li Changxing's palm turned into a claw, and an invisible suction pulled Ji Yuanjia to his side. Li Changxing grabbed Ji Yuanjia's neck, and with a crisp crack, Ji Yuanjia's neck was crushed by Li Changxing. His head fell limply, but he didn't die. This was all thanks to his Vajra realm cultivation. However, with his neck broken, he had completely lost his combat strength and couldn't even stand properly. He casually defeated 3 Vajra realm martial experts and broke their encirclement. This scene caused everyone to be incomparably shocked. Yu Jianghe, Zhao Xiaojie, Han Tianlong, Han Yuma, and the others finally understood a fact at this moment. Li Changxing was insolent because he was confident. They couldn't imagine that a young man in his 20s could be so terrifying even if he started cultivating in his mother's womb. However, Li Changxing had shown them. The remaining ordinary disciples might be looking at Li Changxing with caution, but they didn't have the courage to make a move. Kid, do you really want to fight to the death with our stargazing pavilion? Zhao Xiaojie asked sternly. It was your stargazing pavilion who offended me first. Why are you blaming me now? Li Changsheng waved his hand and swung it down. Pah! A crisp sound rang out. There was a clear slap mark on Zhao Xiaojia's cheek. He had a bad feeling when Li Changsheng raised his palm, but he was horrified to find that he couldn't avoid it at all. Thus, he was slapped by Li Changsheng in front of everyone. Hatred, anger, and shame appeared on Zhao Xiaojia's face at the same time. It was a great shame that the head of the stargazing pavilion was slapped in the face. The surrounding air seemed to have solidified, and even the sound of breathing seemed to have become cautious. Li Changsheng slapped Zhao Xiaojia in the face. That was the pavilion master of the stargazing pavilion. While many people were in disbelief, they also felt deeply humiliated. When the Lord was worried, the minister would be humiliated. When the Lord was humiliated, the minister would die. As disciples of the stargazing pavilion, it was a kind of torture for them to see their headmaster being beaten. "I'll fight with you." At this time, Yu Jianghe finally couldn't help rushing toward Li Changsheng. However, as soon as he approached, he heard a bang. He was kicked in the lower abdomen by Li Changsheng, and then his whole body flew backward at a faster speed. After Yu Jianghe set an example, the other disciples of the stargazing pavilion also rushed toward Li Changsheng crazily. The pavilion master of the stargazing pavilion had an unparalleled status in their hearts. They couldn't watch the pavilion master be humiliated. What a bunch of good-for-nothings. Forget it. I'll teach you some lessons. Li Changsheng snorted coldly and stomped on the ground. Invisible ripples spread out with his body as the center. Boom! The strong wind surged. Those disciples who rushed up didn't have a chance to get within 30 meters of Li Changsheng. They were all sent flying like dumplings. Bang, 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 bang. They fell to the ground. Li Changsheng was like an angry Vajra, invincible. No demons or ghosts could get close to him. More disciples in charge of the stargazing pavilion came after hearing the news. When they saw the scene of Li Changsheng sending so many disciples flying, they were finally shocked. None of these people dared to rush up. Only Li Changsheng stood there quietly. His expression was very calm, but he gave people an aura as deep as the abyss, giving rise to a feeling of reverence. Silence. The air became frozen. The pavilion master of the stargazing pavilion, Zhao Xiaojia, looked at Li Changsheng in a daze. He was slapped in the face. He wanted to fight back, but he didn't dare because he knew that once he fought back, he would suffer even greater humiliation. Either he would be seriously injured like Si Zhixing, whose face was unrecognizable and his nose was flattened, or he would be like Zhong Penghai and Ji Yuanjia, who were beaten to the ground and vomited blood. Moreover, since Li Changsheng was so powerful, it was very likely that he would kill them. Zhao Xiaojia was in a dilemma. If he had known that Li Changsheng was such a terrifying figure, he wouldn't have chosen to go against Li Changsheng. However, there was no medicine for regret in the world. If he bowed down now, his reputation would be ruined. Li Changsheng, the stargazing pavilion, has many good relationships with sects and many trump cards. Don't force me. As long as you leave now, we can pretend that nothing happened. As soon as Zhao Xiaojia's voice fell, many people behind him were stunned. What he meant was that as long as Li Changsheng didn't take it to heart, the stargazing pavilion would swallow today's humiliation and accept it. Was this still the lofty pavilion master whose words carried enormous weight? It was simply unbelievable. However, Li Changsheng didn't agree with him. Instead, he shook his head. I said no. You can use whatever means you have. You really want to fight to the death with me? Zhao Xiaojia's eyes were filled with madness. If Li Changsheng didn't compromise and didn't accept his suggestion, it was equivalent to blocking his last escape route. Looking at Li Changsheng's indifferent face, Zhao Xiaojia finally recognized the fact that the weak had no right to negotiate. Since you insist on forcing me, I will fight to the death with you. Zhao Xiaojia was an expert at the peak stage of the Vajra realm and was infinitely close to the Finger Profound realm. He was a true expert. At this moment, he was determined to fight to the death. His body was burning with qi and blood. The scarlet wooden sword and the purple robe on his body were blooming with radiance at the same time. It was actually an offensive and defensive artifact combination. Die! Zhao Xiaojie shouted angrily. A red light formed a giantly fire vermilion bird in the air and pounced on Li Changsheng. This wooden sword was a high-grade magic item, and its power was very strong. In addition, Zhao Xiaojie was risking his life and using all the strength in his body. Even an expert at the early stage of the Finger Profound realm would have to temporarily avoid this attack. In Zhao Xiaojie's opinion, Li Changsheng wouldn't dare to take it head-on. However, he had underestimated Li Changsheng. When the Li Fire Vermilion bird landed, Li Changsheng didn't even move and allowed the Li Fire Vermilion bird to pounce on him. He originally thought that this attack would be enough to severely injure Li Changsheng. However, Zhao Xiaojie soon realized that his shocking attack automatically dissipated when it got close to Li Changsheng's body. After the fiery light surged, Li Changsheng stood there unscathed. How is this possible? At this moment, Zhao Xiaojie's eyes were filled with fear. His opponent actually turned a blind eye to his all-out attack. The gap between them was too big. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.